You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, Internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Hey, this is John Preston, Marine Combat Veteran and Pacific Records recording artist. Just reaching out to have you check out our new album, Battle Cry, Songs of America's Heroes, an album featuring phenomenal other combat veteran artists like Scott Brown of the Scooter Brown Band, Ryan Weaver, Rowdy Johnson, just an incredible mix of people. This is all veterans telling our stories and our lives, and we're giving 100% of our proceeds to the Valkyrie Initiative to help veterans and first responders integrate back into society. I myself have battled with post-traumatic stress for many years and lost my own brother, a Marine Corps veteran, to suicide. I ask that you step with us and make this happen. We are in pre-order right now and release on March 17th. Go to iTunes, go to Amazon, buy. We plan on making the charts and making it at a very high level, and your support right now makes a difference. This is the release of my new song, Superman Falls, which is actually about the loss of my own brother, which happened last year, and I would love for everyone to check it out, to listen, and hopefully it'll make a difference in many lives.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687. 687.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Sometimes riders feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
Here's George Foreman with InventHelp.
Hi, I'm George Foreman. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? Do you have the same questions? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
Call InventHelp today for free information. InventHelp has been helping inventors for more than 30 years and has sales offices nationwide. InventHelp can submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas. If you have an idea and want to try to patent it and submit it to companies, you should call InventHelp today for free information.
Listen, I can't guarantee a company will be interested in your idea, but I believe every inventor deserves the opportunity to step into the ring and take their best shot. Put InventHelp in your corner.
Get your free inventor's information. Call 1-800-353-6490. That's 1-800-353-6490. Again, 1-800-353-6490.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Hello, everyone. Happy Good Friday to you on this Easter weekend. I felt that maybe taking a lighter approach to politics this week would be a good idea, and we mix in some fun topics with a larger group. We're currently waiting on 2 more members to arrive, but we are going promptly at around 9:30, like I said, so they'll be showing up shortly, and hopefully we'll get them in on the podcast as well. Right now, I'm currently joined by Ben, and we'll have Matt and John come in soon. Over the topics tonight, Marvel, while I believe the better Hollywood contender over DC, is running into some political and religious controversies surrounding their comics. We can talk about how the movies Beauty and the Beast and Power Rangers tie into that as well, while DC, on the other hand, may be getting the best type of feminist message on the mark with their upcoming summer hit. We will revisit last week's conversation about Hollywood whitewashing, as one of my co-hosts tonight would like to have his opinion heard as well.
Yes.
In the video game industry, we have gender and race controversies brewing over the latest blockbuster game Mass Effect Andromeda, and within the last couple of weeks, former IGN editor Colin Moriarty got into some public trouble over a joke he tweeted that sent the left into a frenzy. We'll talk about his response and what has come of that situation, but first, we talk about some of the coolest Hollywood trailers to drop this week and some observations within them. We start there on the Generation Y Conservative podcast. Welcome to the Generation Y Conservative Podcast, everyone. Happy you could be here with us. You may be tuning in right now and watching us live on Facebook, where you can catch me every Friday night at 9 p.m. and can interact with comments and questions. You can also find the Generation Y Conservative on Facebook by searching for it. You can find this podcast as well as some other ones on YouTube. You can find me on Twitter at Gen Y Conservative without the E on the end. You can also find the audio version of this podcast on Google Play, Stitcher, and this whole episode is rerun on Sundays at 3 p.m. for 2 hours until 5 p.m. on KLRN Internet Radio, who also put me on iTunes, so you can find me there as well. So lots of places you can interact. I highly encourage that you do so. This month's charity that we're spotlighting, which I believe is worthy of your time and donations, is local here to the Lehigh Valley and is called the Love Ran Red Foundation. Here is the Love Ran Red Foundation's mission statement. Love Ran Red Foundation is a Christian-based nonprofit foundation dedicated to helping adults with autism spectrum disorder, ASD, and autism. 81% of adults with autism live with their aging parents. So what happens when their parents are no longer living or can no longer take care of them? Well, the Love Ran Red Foundation is dedicated to providing essential living assistance to families of adults with autism and developmental disabilities. On Monday, June 12th, there will be a 2017 inaugural golf tournament at Lehigh Country Club to benefit this organization, presented by Vinart Dealerships and Warner Benefits. You can learn more and consider donating by visiting www.loveranredfoundation.org. Tonight, my returning guests, co-hosts, are Ben, who's with me right now, and like I said, we'll have Matt and John joining us shortly for what I have dubbed the Nerd-I-Sode when it comes to politics. So we're going to be talking about entertainment industry type stuff, anywhere from entertainment within the movies to video games to Hollywood to TV and everything else in between. I mean, there's comic books and everything. So I did the best I could. I'm currently, if you can see here, wearing my Star Wars t-shirt. He's wearing his Deadpool t-shirt. We're going to be talking about both of those subjects tonight. And believe it or not, some of those have political tie-ins as well. But first, what we're going to do here, as I mentioned before, as we're getting into things, there are a couple big trailers that dropped this week for some upcoming Hollywood blockbusters, as well as one that I wanted Matt to address when he gets here, called Detroit, and we'll kind of circle back around to that when he gets here then. But the second trailer that got me really excited this week was for Thor Ragnarok. Did you check out that trailer?
I did.
Okay, good. All right, so we have what's going on with that.
Are we going to talk about what dropped today?
Yes, okay, yes. So while the obvious returner is Chris Hemsworth as Thor, you also have Tom Hiddleston as Loki, Anthony Hopkins as Odin, and Idris Elba, is that how you say it? As Heimdall. But we will also be seeing Cate Blanchett as the villain Hela. Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange will be making an appearance. Carl Urban as Scourge. Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner and the Hulk. Tessa Thompson, who was most recently seen, at least one of the most recent things for me, in the HBO series Westworld. You might have seen her in, and she'll be playing Valkyrie. And here's one of my favorites. Jeff Goldblum as the Grand Master. And also, I saw on the IMDb listing, maybe this is giving something away, that his Jurassic Park co-star Sam Neill will also be making an appearance in an unspecified role. So we don't know who he's going to be in the movie yet.
He was in Lord of the Rings series, wasn't he? He played one of the elves.
No, I think you're thinking about the Matrix guy.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
Right. Same guy. You're right.
Okay, we're gonna have some nerd debates here sometime. So, the movie is packed with the stars on this one. So, if you're a Marvel fan like we are, and you saw Doctor Strange, at the end of Doctor Strange was a meeting between Doctor Strange and Thor. So that's leading into something that's going on with that. I happen to believe that for me, and I want your opinion on this, because you have to have your own kind of personal opinion on which of these is the weakest link in the Marvel movies. But I happen to believe that Thor is the weakest link in all of the Marvel series, that I take the least amount of interest in. But this trailer looks amazing.
I think when I look back on Thor, it seemed to have the smallest budget of the Marvel movies. It was almost an afterthought. They clearly knew the direction they wanted to take, bringing him as a part of the Avengers, and obviously the big arc that they have with the Infinity Gauntlet. So they knew the direction they wanted to take. They didn't spend a ton of money on the movie. I also don't think it's helped that Natalie Portman hasn't really continued within the Marvel series. And I think that's...
They played it off in the... which one was it? The Avengers Age of Ultron, that she was off doing some research stuff in a pissing contest with Stark.
I think that's hurt the Thor storyline a little bit as a standalone, because looking at all the other franchises, they have their own movies, but yet they really shine when they come together. And Thor just hasn't been able to do that.
So do you agree with me that Thor of the movies of the characters has the weakest side movies?
I agree. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. We have John. John will be coming in, so he's going to get hooked up in the meantime here. So go ahead and you can hook him up in the meantime. All right, so actually what we were just talking about was we're talking about some of the trailers that dropped out this week. So did you happen to see the Thor Ragnarok trailer?
Yes, I did.
Okay, good. So what we were talking about was some of the stars that are going to be showing up in it. In your opinion, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, what happens to be the weakest character with their own movies for you? Because we happen to both agree that Thor is probably the weaker of the movie franchises within Marvel.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Well, it's up to you. That's your opinion.
I mean, Hulk.
Hulk is, yeah.
Because he never had his own real movie within this franchise.
Within the current arc, yeah.
It was Edward Norton, and now this guy...
Well, before it was Edward Norton, it was someone else.
It was some other dude.
Yeah, they had some trouble.
Yeah, and I didn't really like that one. Edward Norton one was pretty good,
it wasn't bad,
to say, but yeah, he doesn't have any within this real... universe that they created.
And I kind of get into that here too, because I'm kind of wondering, and we'll get to that in a second with Hulk. I said, is it just me, or does the trailer give off a cinematography and acting vibe, perhaps taking some cues from Guardians of the Galaxy? Did you guys get that from the trailer?
Yeah.
I mean, especially some of the music that they were going.
Odyssey. Yeah, I get that.
The slow-mo visual effects and everything.
The music.
Yes, yeah. Which most people don't see. But in Guardians of the Galaxy, which happens to be one of my favorite Marvel franchises in there, you look at all the main characters. You have Groot, you have Rocket, Star-Lord, Gamora, and Drax, right? The sixth character in that movie is the soundtrack. Like, that movie does not hit the notes without that soundtrack that they put together.
Especially for someone like you. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, okay, so the biggest thing to point out for you right there is in the ending scene with the arena scene where the Hulk makes an appearance. And to go off of your point, one of the things I point out is, are we not going to see Hulk movies anymore at all? Because they're too hard to do with him, because he doesn't have that much dialogue as a Hulk, right? Because in this, if you guys are, you especially, he's going to know this. I don't know about you. I think you're pretty connected with comic book stuff too. But are we seeing the after effects here of Planet Hulk in this scene that he's coming into this arena from?
Mm-hmm. That's
right?
exactly what I thought.
I mean, yeah.
When I saw the preview, yeah, absolutely. With his helmet on and he's in his getup, it's like you're getting a taste of that. They're not going to do a Planet Hulk. We all wanted that. Yeah. There were rumors of that, but not going to happen. And I think this is the closest thing they can get to it, making a compromise with everybody in the fans.
Yeah, maybe there will be a quick banner flashback when he's talking to Thor or something. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But to that point, the last time we saw Hulk was in Age of Ultron, where he's flying off by himself to get away from the Avengers because he thought he was a threat to them. So that's the time span right there between when he disappeared with them and him showing up in this movie. So they probably have to do some sort of flashback there.
I imagine.
I was laughing when I saw Jeff Goldblum as the Grandmaster and how eccentric he looked and everything. Who doesn't love Goldblum in these movies, in any movie? He comes off as this likable guy no matter what he's in. Another big revelation. I don't know if you guys definitely saw the scene, but a big revelation in this that I'm surprised that they showed is that Thor's hammer, Mjolnir, right, gets destroyed by Hela, which some actually had predicted earlier this year when concept art for the new Avengers Infinity War showed him wielding a new weapon that brandishes a blade instead, and that in the new comics, his name is Jarnborn. John Bjorn. So this might be the start of his new kind of, like weapon of fantasy or whatever,
Yeah, I gotcha.
Or a dream.
Or what?
Maybe it was a dream that his hammer blew up.
Oh, I don't know.
He was dreaming about it.
They do those.
Yeah, sometimes they just throw you off. It's also worth noting that a casting announcement for Marvel's Deadpool sequel came out, naming Josh Brolin, did you see this? Mm-hmm. As the new Cable alongside Deadpool. So Ben here is wearing his Deadpool shirt tonight. But this brings into question something else with Marvel. Brolin is also currently playing in the Marvel Universe as Thanos, right? Well, so do you think he's going to play both? Because I think he will.
But Deadpool series, it's a Fox series. It's a Fox franchise still.
Still?
Yeah, so they own, because they can bring in the X-Men and say mutants in that series. So that's a Fox franchise.
Okay.
So,
and that's the one.
So my guess is
Sony has come over for Spider-Man, but Fox has been holding out on Marvel.
Yeah, I wish they'd give it up. But I think if Marvel really had its say, I don't think they would let a character play two. Or an actor play two characters, but in this case, you can't really tell.
Deadpool, I don't think is going to be entering the Infinity storyline, and even if he did come over with that, Thanos is unrecognizable with Brolin behind.
I think it's fair. I'm just saying from a contractual standpoint, I don't think Marvel would let that slide. But why not?
Yeah. Any other thoughts on that at all? Anything on Thor that you guys want to point out?
My thought on Thor is they really lucked out getting Idris Elba back when he was not huge yet, because he's a rock star actor right now. They got him probably coming off The Wire, so he was a name, but he wasn't the name he is now.
There's been rumors of him playing the Bond.
Yeah, yes, but no, they got Daniel Craig again.
Yeah,
so
he's
at least I saw it. But but when you have that kind of depth in your characters, I mean, that just adds to the movie a ton.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else on Thor for you? Anything else that you noticed at all?
I'm excited. It's good. I think this is a good year for movies and video games.
It's gonna be great.
Altogether, it's a really good year. We got all kinds of good stuff. There was just what was just announced that it was coming out this fall. I can't think of it.
Really like a certain genre or what? It's coming out.
Yeah, it is good. We got Red Dead Redemption 2.
Video game wise, and I'll ask you about that in the end.
Tons of video games. But yeah, Ragnarok, great. We got Prometheus sequel, great.
That's right. I forgot about that. Is that this year?
Yep.
It's like next month or something.
It's an Alien title, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Alien Covenant.
Covenant. Yeah, that's right. All right. Here's the big one.
Let's go.
The last trailer that dropped, and perhaps one of the most exciting to me, and it seems like he's wanted to jump on it right away anyway, is a trailer for the new Star Wars movie in the new trilogy, The Last Jedi. So some things to note. The movie seems to pick up right where it left off, with Rey finding Luke Skywalker and what appears to be training with him. Did you see the trailer? Oh, man.
Dropped today, yeah.
Yep. So in this trailer, when in meditation, he's gonna go nuts on this part right here.
No, I may not actually.
Rey mentions seeing the light while they show the back of General Leia, and the dark showing a destroyed Vader helmet. Was that Vader's helmet?
I think
it could have been that or Kylo Ren's, but I think it was
I
Vader's.
actually thought it was Ren's because it was burning.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, could have been either one. And one of the other things that was shown, or mentioned, the balance, she said, while showing what appears to be an ancient text and possibly referring to planet, do you know?
No.
Mortis? Which is in the Shrilithium system, where the father balances the force between his daughter, who balances the light side, and the force of her brother, who's the dark side. You don't remember that from the Clone Wars?
Oh.
Have I nerded out further than him?
Well, all right.
That's
Clone Wars. Okay, yeah, then I think I know what you're talking about. Yes, that one where Anakin goes to that one kind of planet and all right, I'm good.
Okay, this is the central. This is the birthplace of the Force, basically.
Yes. Now
that you can't find.
Remember,
unless you're
Disney
there.
killed everything that was good about Star Wars.
That's true.
Before Clone Wars, so I mean they're making up for it slowly, but the good Star Wars, go read the books, everyone.
That's why I went to you right away with this kind of stuff. So, yeah. So some other fun things to point out here is the return of BB-8, Poe, the Millennium Falcon, and R2-D2. You have Mark Hamill's Luke Skywalker, who ends the trailer with the line, is that Matt? Okay. Matt, does Leslie have you? No. Go ahead up the porch and get her, so she'll hook you up with the mic then, okay? Where were we? Who ends the trailer with saying, and I'm pretty sure this is Luke Skywalker's line, "I only know one truth, it's time for the Jedi to end." So what does that mean? Because to me, it could be one of two things. Does it have more to do with him and his failure to properly train Kylo Ren, and him saying, like, this is it? Or is it alluding to something bigger than that?
Don't know. All I know is Mark Hamill is creepy. It is hard for me to like him. He was so young and innocent, naive, and that's why he was likable in the originals.
But he's gotten creepy.
And he, I don't know if you ever saw the Arrow episode.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So he's a creepy dude, and with the facial hair, I don't know what it is, but they got their work cut out for him on this one to sell him as a likable character in this upcoming movie, because, like I said,
did you see
he's been playing B roles in TV shows for the past
don't put down
years.
my Flash show.
Flash is trash.
Oh my gosh, Flash is my favorite show on television.
No, I finished season 1, never picked it back up.
Oh, you have to. It gets better from there. You happen to like my impressions. I don't know if I'll be able to pick it up on the fly.
Impression.
But did you hear Mark Hamill do his Joker voice imitating Heath Ledger's Joker line?
I heard
Why
about
so
it,
serious?
didn't hear it.
Did you see that? It was actually pretty good. It was something like, "Hey, Batsy, why so serious?"
Pretty good. That's not bad. That's like that's Batman the Animated Series.
Yeah, well, that's what Hamill voices the Joker for the Batman Animated Series.
The original, the 90s version?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great show.
See, okay, I'm out. I haven't nerded out Ben.
Still crazy.
Yeah. So,
you both nerded me out. Yes. I'm going to have to go. You guys aren't cool enough.
So, okay, we're going to take another short intermission here while Matt gets hooked up. Okay, so Matt, just so you know, what we were just going over.
I heard something about Star Wars, sorry. I'm a Trekkie. If no one knows, I'm a hardcore Trekkie first.
Well, you know what, though?
I'm a Trekkie.
That's okay. You could be both.
That's why the smart people are on this side. You see, Star Trek is for intelligent folk. Star Wars is for people who want to get their, medieval fantasy magic.
You can move up a
Cheap
little
thrills.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Star Trek is for thinking folk. It's deep. It's philosophical.
Flashy lights.
Yeah, you want flashy lights.
Sex. We're good.
Yeah. But see, Star Trek's got all that and more, and it makes you think.
There. Okay.
And it's lasted
well,
longer.
listen. We'll give you the opportunity here. The first trailer that came out this week was for Thor Ragnarok.
Yes.
Right? Any thoughts on that?
Yes. One, I felt that they wasted probably the best laugh in the entire movie on the trailer. When he looks at him and says, I know him from work. I mean, that was hilarious.
Yeah. Do you know what that's alluding to, by the way? A callback to?
I believe I do.
Silver Surfer in the comics?
Yes. Because I saw it dinged in my head. I'm like, I know that line.
I didn't know that except for IGN pointed out.
That's a Galactus Silver Surfer reference?
No, not Galactus, but Silver Surfer went up against Hulk. in the arena.
Okay.
Yeah. In a similar thing where he was there kidnapped. So, yeah, I did catch that reference. The Thor movies are enjoyable, but they're not good.
Exactly.
I mean, the first one was obviously the best one, but they're fun.
But
just like Ant-Man
do you
was,
see a
just
change?
like Doctor Strange.
Come on, I love Ant-Man.
Not bad.
Like Guardians of the Galaxy. Let's make it funny.
That's what we're
exactly
saying with this.
What Marvel's doing with the MCU is what DC needs to do, but they're just too stubborn to do it. You create stepping stones. Very good, not great, above average stepping stones that people were willing to pay to see, but are not going to say, "Oh, this is a great film," because it's not. It's a good film that you're willing to pay to see, and then you build it up for the masterpiece, which is the Avengers movies.
Yeah. But we specifically point out that it seems like this trailer, there is a cinematography vibe and feel to this movie like Guardians of the Galaxy, because that was such a runaway hit. And earlier reviews coming out on the one coming out next month, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, is that it's a perfect 10. That's what people are saying.
That's tough to hit. Perfect 10.
Well, here's what I can say. My wife loves Guardians of the Galaxy, and she's not super nerd, but she loves it. It's both fun and engaging.
That's Chris Pratt, just so you
No,
know.
it's Groot. It's Groot. When she
women
sees
love Groot.
She wants to.
There's
just
a joke in there I don't want to go to.
She just,
I was trying not to allude to that, but women love Groot. But here's the thing. Here's one reason why everyone likes Guardians of the Galaxy right now, because the people are our age group. People who grew up in the 80s and 90s. Right.
Yeah.
So we're watching, we're listening to the mixtape. We're having flashbacks of our childhood. He's doing the dance off. We're like, and then of course this is the goofy white dude who's the leading of this group. So they're like, everyone's like loving it because it's like when we were kids. So there's a nostalgia piece to it as well.
I agree.
Because honestly, if this movie came out 10 years later, it wouldn't be as big of a hit.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead. What?
I was gonna say, I feel like it's Citizen Kane. All the elements that is in a movie like that. It has drama, it has love, it has a little bit of violence, a little bit of comedy, everything mixed together.
He's really going.
That's a bit of a stretch right there. I mean, Citizen Kane's probably one of the top 5 films of all time. I mean, that's a bit of a stretch.
They're going
for.
It doesn't fit into a category. It has a little bit of everything in it.
It's a genre
psychology, though. He's on a deeper level.
I agree with you. It is a genre breaking film. It doesn't. You can't put it within one genre. It creates its own genre.
What everybody likes, and that's what I think.
That's true.
That
is true. I agree with
that.
I
think Doctor Strange had very similar elements.
You're right.
I didn't think it was as strong of a movie as you thought.
Did you see an IMAX?
No.
Then you don't. You have that's a movie.
I understand.
That's a movie that was made for IMAX. You had to see it in IMAX to be wowed by it.
True, I can understand that.
Same with Ghost in the Shell. It was made for an IMAX. So there's some movies you're just not going to get the same impact unless you go pay the big bucks for the ticket. Go ahead.
To me, as much as I love special effects, as much as I love IMAX, if I have to see an IMAX be blown away, it's not that good of a film.
It should carry over to
let me give you an example.
To the video.
Like Up.
Yeah.
Up was a great film. No matter if you saw it in IMAX or not, it was still a fantastic film. I should be able to have the same standard quality of a film, regardless of the level of money I'm shelling out for.
That's true.
For
that's why I was trying to.
All right, so you're judging it as a film. I'm judging it as an entertainment experience.
Okay.
So a little bit different.
Got you.
Was it you saw it 3D?
Yes,
I did too. I'm not going to front. Yeah. But all we got is I got it cheaper on Fandango from T-Mobile Tuesday. Thank you, T-Mobile. I got my ticket half off because I wasn't throwing that type of money to see a movie. I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. I got 5 kids and a wife. I can't afford all that. So thank you, T-Mobile. And a grandkid. And a grandkid child. Yes. I mean, sister wives. You was the wrong state, bro. But I can't afford that, so I saw it in 3D thanks to that. But I got entertainment-wise, you're definitely right. Yeah. I mean, the space and the time and everything, that was fantastically done in 3D.
Yeah. And I judge Ant-Man the same way. The way you
judge what?
Ant-Man.
Oh, okay.
The same way. It's an it's not a great film, but it's fun.
Yeah.
And I think another movie that really benefited from the special effects.
True. Almost definitely.
True.
King Kong. That's what I was going to say. IMAX, King Kong.
I saw it.
Oh,
it was great.
It'll bring it up another full point.
I bet.
Maybe a point and a half.
It was loud.
Versus seeing out in your TV in your living room. No, not as much as this giant gorilla monster.
By the way, you can catch the Kong Skull Island movie review on my YouTube channel.
What'd you give it?
I gave it. What did I give it? A 7.5.
That's a fair score.
Like yeah.
Only because it had some Hollywood stuff to it, but it was good. I mean, it was very visual and good.
I thought it was better than the Jack Black one.
Absolutely,
agreed.
I think.
Yeah.
The best part of one
and
of the best parts.
And I thought that was good at the time. Things are getting better.
Yeah.
I mean, look, we're entering
2017. Insane.
We keep on getting closer and closer to this Uncanny Valley
stuff, I don't want to take
which
us
we might
off.
bring up later on.
We got
the
Logan. We got Kong.
Yeah,
you mentioned.
We're going
to
deviate here a little bit.
Wow. Okay.
But
you've been doing your homework. Okay, I'm impressed.
The Dunkirk trailer on the IMAX for Kong was the loudest trailer I've ever. It was the loudest experience I've ever had in a movie theater. It was so intense, and it's just that shot of the 2 boys walking the stretcher toward the boat, and it goes on for 5 minutes, but you really feel like there is a plane in the movie theater. It is so loud and so intense, and that actually helped my whole perception on Kong, just having that beforehand. So it was that intense.
I'm a huge World War II buff. As far as like one of my favorite series of all time was Band of Brothers. The stories that went on in that. If you guys haven't seen it yet, the Andrew Garfield movie that was out recently was really good. I forget what it was called. Hacksaw Ridge.
Yes.
Amazing movie. And it's a Christian movie, too. Christian message within it. Okay, so we'll jump off of that. We're getting a little caught up already on replaying on some of these things here.
My bad.
So are you a Star Wars fan at all?
Well, before we go there, I have to say this. You know I love you, right? Because you have me driving through the country at night by myself as a black man, okay? just putting it out there. I would only do this for you. Just put it out there, all right?
Quick story about that. Our cousins are black.
And first of all, I thought it would be better than last time since you moved. I'm like,
no, we're deeper.
I'm coming off Hogan's Valley. Okay, this is cool. Nah, I'm going parts. I've driven throughout all this area, and I'm like, yo, where am I? I've never even been here before. And you got me finding these new places at night.
We had a funny story.
You know I love you.
Our cousins are black. They live down
down
south and everything. But we had a family reunion at our house in the center of Nutropoli, and we were all sitting out on the porch and everything. And people were driving by on their tractors and stuff like that, and they were kind of giving this look like, I don't know if we should be here for this family reunion. I'm like, calm down. You're with us. It's fine.
He's lucky I care.
So let's jump over to. Do you like Star Wars at all?
I am a huge Trekkie, by far, 3rd generation Trekkie. I thoroughly enjoy Star Wars, always have.
All right.
So I put the Trek above the Wars, but I'm a big Star Wars fan.
Did you see the new trailer today?
Of course.
Okay. Well, any thoughts on that before we jump off to your subject?
Very intriguing.
Okay.
Always well done. JJ puts his spin on everything, but everything's well done. He's never put out a bad product, in my opinion. So
that's true.
I can't say too much because I don't want to. If I do, I'll put myself into my own crazy fan theories. But I thought it was really interesting, especially, of course, the last line that Hamill delivers as far as the end of the Jedi. That could go so many different places.
Go ahead. Sorry.
But so that's why I thought I didn't. Plus, I was at work, so I couldn't take too much time to overanalyze it. But it was excellent trailer.
Good. Before we go on any further, if you're interested, because I'm all about cross promotion and everything, are you still doing your page and podcast and everything? Go ahead, since you're a little late here.
Real quick, I have a page called Geek Nation, which is for people like myself and Clarky too, people who are or were athletes in our younger, thinner days, but are also big-time geeks.
Is it my physique? Is my physique give away that I wasn't an athlete or something?
You were in freaking
yearbook.
You were in yearbook. Okay, you were a yearbook guy. But for people who happen to love sports culture as well as geek culture, are a very odd dichotomy. So I created this page and my podcast, Original G Podcast, for people like us to chop it up, because I can talk about the NBA and all of a sudden be talking about Lord of the Rings, and very few people can follow that.
I like it.
I know you dig it. I know you dig it. So hey, I'm always welcoming on people. We just did a podcast last month focusing on Women's History Month and certain topics like the top 10 video game heroines, the greatest female athlete of all time, which we debate over Serena Williams and some other ones. So, you'll check it out. Geek Nation is the page on Facebook, and SoundCloud and iTunes. The Original Geek Podcast is JEEK, Jock plus Geek equals Geek.
Okay. Yeah. I'm ready to go on that.
Go on.
Top 10 heroines. Let's go.
Yeah, let's
I'm good
so
with that.
We'll bring it.
One of the first things I wanted to get to with you, Matt, is the trailer for a movie called Detroit, starring John Boyega, who is in the new Star Wars movie.
Yes, he is.
Anthony Mackie, who is obviously the Falcon. John Krasinski, who's on The Office. Will Poulter, who is in The Maze Runner and stuff like that. He was also, side note here, originally supposed to play Pennywise in the new It movie before it was handed off to a new director, and it went to Skarsgård.
Okay.
And also, I don't know if you guys watched Last Man Standing. That happens to be a family favorite show of ours.
I haven't since like season 3.
But okay, well, the youngest daughter is Caitlin Dever. She's also in this. And this movie, in IMDb, and Matt's going to get into this a little bit more, it says that it chronicles a 1967 police raid in Detroit that resulted in one of the largest citizen uprising in American history.
Detroit riots.
So, I personally know nothing about this, and I'm sad to say that, but Matt, I felt would be good to discuss this tonight, to fill us in quickly on what the true events of that were, and your thoughts on the trailer and casting. Now, this was obviously before our time of being born and everything, but you're from Detroit.
Correct.
So, and I thought you would have interest in this, so you said you would save your thoughts for the podcast.
I did. I was very tempted to go in on, while we were messaging each other.
Yeah.
Let me say this. Because it's a trailer, it's a movie. And also the director from the Hurt Locker. I'm not exactly a fan of her work.
Okay.
She's not bad, but I'm just not a fan of the. You can do your work, whatever, but when you overly push your political agenda, it brings the movie down, in my opinion.
In the Hurt Locker?
Just in general.
Oh, okay.
Anything. Yeah, anything.
No, hey, look, we're going to get into that a lot tonight.
Just in general. You should be able to entertain.
By the way, I don't understand why we dropped the mother of all bombs. We should have just sent over a case of Pepsi over there to solve everything.
with the Kardashians.
Yeah. Right. Please, with the Kardashians and Kanye. So my thing is, I don't know how historically relevant this film will be because of that. The Detroit riots are something that is a very painful thing for people from Michigan like myself. It was a very tragic and completely unnecessary event, and it is one of the worst riots in American history.
Can you give like a quick synopsis of what went down that caused it?
Pretty much, it was a misunderstanding. You have to remember, this is 1967.
Yeah.
Okay, so everything is on extremely high alert. We are talking about the beginning of segregation. We are talking about, again, this is up north, so there's, to me, even more pressure, because now you're getting to realize who's your friend and who's really not your friend up north compared to down south, where there's always been pretty much clear on whether they liked you or not.
Yeah, it was open.
Right. So, and then you obviously have John Boyega's character, who is a police officer, and he has a very odd dichotomy because, as a police officer, he's also being looked upon as the enemy, as well as being black and being a part of...
But also authority.
But also authority.
Yeah.
So, I encourage people to really look up historically on it, because I hate to put my 2 cents into it. I have a tendency to do that when it comes to things involving my home state. But pretty much with a big understanding, the police raided and people got hurt, and the city pretty much blew itself up. It was madness. I mean, it really was. I mean, I know there's still clips of it. It was really sad.
I have to look that up.
I mean, remember, we're talking about a city that was once the most profitable, richest city in the world.
Yeah.
That is now pretty much since then
it's
declined
ghost.
over. It's a ghost town.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is a ghost town right now.
I mean, you could buy serious property with a house, maybe not in great condition, but for like $300.
There was a house near Wayne, near a community college, that I was personally looking at last year. 3-bedroom ranch, 1.5 bath, and not in really bad condition. $500. If I had the extra money, I would have bought it. And I'm not even a handy. I'm not even a handy guy. I got family that could do that. Like
what kind of
$500.
What kind of political control has Detroit been under for?
Oh, come on! Now you know that. I believe the letter starts with D.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously back here in 1967. However, this is not even a Republican Democrat thing at that time. Now, but at that time, this is beyond party.
Well, look, Detroit was a symbol of capitalism in its day.
Detroit was the symbol of capitalism, well, by far. Yeah. And unfortunately, right now, it's part of it.
Took a big dent into it. It's just
that's part of it. I would agree with
wrangle in on steel, coal, anything having to do with
that, and just bad, corrupt leadership. I mean, the fact that Kwame Kilpatrick only got 15 years is just insane for what he destroyed in Detroit and what Mayor Bing is trying to salvage. I mean, I feel bad for Mayor Bing because he's never going to be able to get Detroit a quarter of where it should be because of what Kilpatrick and his predecessors did.
You want to get a little political?
A little bit, just feeling this a little bit. What's
right.
up? Okay. What I said? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So a lot of this is a very unpopular opinion, but as
Who
y'all
said it
know,
first?
but but y'all know me. I really don't care. I have to agree with Sam Jackson's recent statements about the star of Get Out being British and the influx of British actors playing Black American roles. I happen to agree with him that there's a bit overkill with it. Selma, Black British dudes. Get Out, Black British dude. 12 Years a Slave, Black British dude.
I didn't know about some of those.
Okay.
Isn't Idris Elba British?
Idris Elba's British.
Yeah.
Who?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, Idris is awesome. But again, it was
just
Idris.
give him some sort of 00 movie, even if it's not 007.
No, exactly. That's exactly my point with some of these things. But when it comes to Boyega, who's a fantastic. I mean, I love Boyega. I loved him prior to Star Wars. Great young actor.
What was that monster movie that he was in?
What was that? I forget. Monster movies are so goofy to me.
Yeah, it was a weird movie. It was all right.
But he's a great young actor. And people look at me like, and the guy from Get Out did an interview like, it's because I'm British. I feel like I have to prove that I'm black to black people too. And I understand what he's saying with that, because the British black people have their own struggle. But that's exactly my point. They have their own struggle. Their struggle is not the same as the American black struggle. There's, for example, if I'm over here and somebody calls me, tells me to sawed off, and so what? Like, what are you talking about? I don't care. I'm American. That means nothing to me unless I know the culture. So if I'm over there and they say that, now I'm heated because I'm from here. I know the culture. Just because you're black doesn't mean you can portray the same experience, speaking specifically from an American perspective, that anybody else can, because you didn't live it. It's not part of your culture. So while actors can act, and I appreciate that's that they can't act. It's that you can't tell me there aren't American black actors who can play the same role just as well and actually be able to portray the American angst that's proper for the film compared to someone from the UK who can act and do a good job, but it's not the same thing. I can't go and portray a black British dude with the same proper level because I don't know their experience. My experience is different. Same if I'm black and French, I can't play a black French dude because I don't know what they experience.
Are there black people in France?
Not many.
Unless
you're a football player. You're a footballer, you know. Thea Henry, you got to be light-skinned generally. But
I just want to say, I am going to disagree with you on this because here's the thing. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I understand what you're trying to say about the struggle behind the character and really bringing that out in someone. But that's like, to me, saying that someone can't play a king in a movie because they've never experienced royalty.
So you're saying it's just the job of being an actor?
It's an actor. Yeah, I mean, you are acting a part.
I just, to his point,
but you use a lot of British.
I think it's a huge influx.
Your point's more tied in to like hiring in general. You know, the H-1B visa, it was designed for a purpose, but it's turned into something else, right? It was designed when you couldn't find American workers.
Okay, yeah.
Right? It's the same thing. What he's talking about, he's saying that there are actors that could take the role, but just by choice, for whatever pedigree or whatever Hollywood thinks, whoever decides who plays these roles, it is giving preference.
Exactly.
And maybe I understand.
Maybe because they're classically trained, and most black American actors aren't. But again, we're not asking them to play Othello either.
Play what?
Othello.
Oh, okay.
Or Hamlet. Mm-hmm. You know, or something that requires a classically trained actor. Mm-hmm. So, and I feel the same way with just like it kind of ties in, you know, to kind of inversely ties into Ghost in the Shell argument.
We'll get to that.
I just like with the argument we had last year about Gods of Egypt. I'm sorry, there's one black dude in a movie about Egypt. It's Egypt in Africa. Right. And there's, I'm like, wait. Say, King Leonidas and Jaime Lannister are gods of Egypt. Are you kidding me? And what are they fighting over? Because of the fact that they're banging the same woman? Like, come on.
I never saw it because it looked that horrible.
You didn't see it in the theater.
Of course, I didn't pay my money to see that.
Right, I'm just making sure.
I saw it on HBO Now just because I had to watch it just so I could trash it even more. Like, are you kidding me? And I'm like, no one from Egypt has ever been that light-skinned. Like, even after the influx with the Mediterranean and the trades, they've never been that light-skinned. It's in Africa.
True. My question to you is, all right, I clearly understand your issue here. So, your community, how should they react to these kind of situations?
I ask my fellow American black people to
look right at the camera and address
to really do what I'm trying to do and just be like,
recognize it.
Recognize it, but honestly, just not let it eat you up because Hollywood's done this over and over and over again. It's a new trend. The best thing for us to do is to be creative, independent, and make our own films. That's the only way it's actually ever going to be, in a lot of our views, portrayed properly in some ways.
Plus, vote with your dollars.
And vote with your dollars, which is why certain films don't get my money. Certain films do. I thought 42 was well done. It got my money. I thought Race, the Jesse Owens story, I thought that was well done. It got my money. There were some parts that weren't great, but it was well done. It got my money. Some movies, I'm like, I'm not going to be able to do it. And
anything in particular?
About
Gods of Egypt, obviously. But.
Yeah.
I've yet to watch it.
Take the race component out of it. Pure hot mess. Just not even worth it.
It looks all special effects. That's about it.
Yeah, it was
not even
whack.
good special effects.
Yeah,
like all green.
I love like Nikolai, Chris, whatever. Yeah, I like Nikolai, whatever his name is from Game of Thrones. I like King Leonidas. I forget his name. I like them both. Gerard Butler, Butler, whatever.
He was in that.
Two.
Hi, I'm the god of Egypt, and I'm Scottish. Like what? They don't. Even, okay, I digress.
Okay.
Just totally fantasy.
So let's go back to Detroit.
Yes, I'm sorry. So that's
those
my
personal issues aside, right?
My personal issue, I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued by the trailer.
Okay.
I'm intrigued by the possibility of just what they'll do about a very dark time in this country's history. And again, not that far, 1967. Pretty much all of our parents were alive then. I think all of our parents were at least 10 years old by that time.
I think the interesting point about Detroit is from that point in time, it had a rise and then a subsequent fall. And I think we're probably, in terms of Detroit, you're closer in terms of where it was at 67 to where it is now than, say, where it was at 81, right? So, it's had its cycle, and now it's kind of more or less back to maybe a state of affairs. It's not ideal.
Of all the places, I don't.
It really never rose up again.
So, no,
we're talking about the pinnacle.
The spine was broken.
And I mean, it's like this, and then maybe it was a little level, but
I mean, the spine truly wasn't broken until straight up globalism happened when that destroyed the auto industry, at least in the U.S. So, from a financial standpoint, after that, after the company started getting really hit.
For Detroit, when the European companies started coming in, that was just like you said, globalization. That was a huge knock.
I just don't think that hit hard until maybe mid-90s, fully, to the extent it is now. That's all I'm saying.
There's certain truth to that, yeah.
Okay, so we're already halfway through the night here. So if you're watching right now, you're tuning in on Facebook Live, you can find us every Friday at 9 p.m. on the Generation Y Conservative. You can search for me on Facebook. You can also find me on YouTube with the Generation Y Conservative. Interact with me on Twitter at Gen Y Conservative without the E on the end. You can also find the audio podcast later on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and also on Sundays from 3 to 5 p.m. on Internet Radio KLRN, which we appreciate with that as well. This conversation is taking a lot longer than what I thought it would, and it might go long. So the first 2 hours are always broadcast on KLRN. If this happens to go longer because of certain topics that we're hitting and we feel like everybody wants to continue with it, we'll keep on recording, and you can find the full podcast on YouTube if that happens to be the case. And I'll end the podcast at the ending time tonight and let you know to go to YouTube if we decide to do that. We're going to move on from the movie trailers that came out this week and actually talk a little bit more about Marvel, which was one of the other trailers that we were talking about here. But in Marvel news, a senior executive at Marvel Comics has claimed that the company's recent focus on creating diverse superheroes is a driving factor behind its declining comic book sales, arguing that loyal customers were, quote, turning their noses up at their efforts. So speaking at a Marvel Retailer Summit last week, David Gabriel, Marvel's vice president of sales, said that the company had heard that people didn't want any more diverse characters. He said they didn't want female characters out there. That's what we heard. That's what we heard, whether we believe it or not. I don't know that that's really true, but that's what we saw in sales. Any character that was diverse, any character that was new, or female characters, anything that was not a core Marvel character, people were turning their nose up. Gabriel's comments follow Marvel's recent attempts to create diverse characters such as a female Thor, a female Iron Man, a mixed-race Spider-Man, a Muslim teenage girl named Kamala Khanas?
Yes. She's
as the current Miss Marvel. Yep. As well as the appearance of a villain based on Donald Trump.
Really?
So, it's facial.
Do you remember MODOK?
Yeah.
They turned MODOK into Donald Trump.
That's pretty funny, though.
It was pretty funny. I have to admit
so my question is...
I laughed.
That's a good one.
It was really pretty funny.
So my question is this more of a lack of interest on part of comic book fans of diversity, or a reflection, which I believe, of the fact that a lot of people just don't want the original characters like Thor, Iron Man, Spider-Man, and Miss Marvel changed around?
I'll start.
Go ahead.
Well, I actually subscribed to Marvel Unlimited, last summer for a while, and I was blazing through some back issues, X-Men, Iron Man, and one of the things that's interesting to me is how much actual real life politics and real life geopolitical events at the time really influenced the comics. Which,
absolutely.
It has a major influence.
It has since like the 60s.
One funny thing. This is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the originals.
Oh, yeah.
Geraldo Rivera is literally in the comic books as himself.
As himself, yeah.
Did his mustache have a superpower?
It did. Of course. So, for the Donald Trump thing, based on that, I have no issue with it. It's funny. They can do that. For me personally, I think where maybe some of the backlash happened was it's not female characters or unique characters. It's the changing of iconic properties.
Yeah.
All right.
Which is what I basically said, right?
For me, Tony Stark is literally, he's my favorite hero.
He's Iron Man.
In the whole universe for a number of reasons. That change is, for me, is a deal breaker. And, I'm sure other people have favorite characters. they probably feel the same way. For me, it's just when you're intentionally changing something for almost no reason, for the sake of public appeasement, that's where I think comic book fans backlash a little bit.
Matt's going to get into it in a second. I mean, John hasn't had much time to talk, so let's go to John for his take on that.
Oh, well, I think it's always been that way. Like, comic books started out in the World War I, World War II era, and we always had a
Superman.
Yeah,
in the 1920s, like there's action comics.
Always geopolitical, but I was going to say, why not invent a new character to do these new spin-offs? But I think they're saying they just sink, so they want to use the backbone of the characters that are already there and kind of change them and see what happens. But it's weird that the PC realm and trying to make it more open to everybody on the planet. I won't knock it over. To video games and comic books and everything alike, movies, I think what I believe, people want to fantasize, so they don't want it to be realistic. And the more realistic you get with it, the less it's appealing to people, in my point of view. I don't know.
Yes and no. Back when comics were really, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, when comics were really being political, they weren't superly overtly political. The political message was there, and it was impactful, but it wasn't in your face.
No. Isn't Magneto and Professor X based on Malcolm X and Martin Luther King? As characters?
Kind of a dichotomy. The X-Men itself was a comic spawned from the civil rights movement, and it is an example of
the mutant story. The mutant story is for sure.
Yeah. But then they did that very with a lot of it was subtle. Yep. It wasn't overt. It wasn't in your face. Look at this. You must conform to this, which is kind of just the vibe we're getting now. And I agree. So to me, it's multifaceted.
I agree.
So the less covert and more overt. Also, you mentioned the heralds. It just ties into the 007 thing as well. James Bond's been white for 50 years. Peter Parker's been white for 50 years. Captain America's been white for 50 years. I get you like 75 years, something insane. The Hulk has been white for all this time.
Tony Stark's always been a man.
He's always, I don't know. Sometimes he's a little girl because he whines. But Tony Stark has been Tony Stark's been a man for 50 years. When you change your core people for that purpose, one, people see right through it.
Yep.
Two, it's lazy. Idris Elba as James Bond
because
is
you can't
lazy.
Start a new audience.
I think it goes back to his point. They're trying to use it as a backbone, but what is entertainment taught us is that is supposed to fail most of the time. It's they're trying to skip the part of building a brand, and it literally they're supposed to throw 7 or 9 heroes out there. They're all supposed to go down, and one makes it with the public audience, right? And they're just trying to skip that, and that's just lazy.
It can appeal to you. Already a character that's already appealing, rather than creating a new one and taking.
And to me, it's you alienate fans because, and then you make those fans look worse than they probably really are. Some of them probably are just upset because why feel the need to gender swap? Now, it's also one thing because most comic book fans have their treasured universe. We all know both DC and Marvel exist in a multiverse. And generally, when they would make these changes, especially during the 90s where the Ultimate Universe and Marvel really started to become big, no one cared because it wasn't the main canon universe. It wasn't Earth 616. It was the Ultimate Universe.
Well, he's getting nerdy.
Again, that's what I do. So
I like it.
So when with the Avengers movies, I was a little frustrated because if they just said this was the Ultimate version, cool. Make Nick Fury black. Make it Sam Jackson. I don't care. You can turn everything every which way around you want to do because we know you're not messing with the core. Same thing with Miles Morales. I loved it. Because Peter Parker, he didn't make Peter Parker.
You like the Fantastic Four movie, the new one?
No, Miles Morales.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The Spider-Man of the Ultimate Universe.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was thinking
the Black
of
Puerto
Miles
Rican.
Teller
that
played...
don't give me all those X-Men movies. Oh, my God. Lord Jesus. Terrible. So Miles Morales, Ultimate Universe Spider-Man. Peter Parker passes the torch. Cool. I dug it. I went and bought the issues. Why? Because it was something different. It's a new character. playing that role. And this happened before. Spider-Man 2099. Hispanic dude. This is not new stuff.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
What if Disney bought the Star Trek franchise and then deleted everything?
I'd lose my mind.
Well, that's what they did to Star Wars.
I would roast marshmallows.
I would never buy another Disney thing ever again. Because it would
Disney, you're lucky I even watched those movies.
That's
they're pumping them out though.
They're a production. They're a big production house.
So, do you not like The Force Awakens? Then?
No, I love The Force Awakens mainly because of the casting. I think Rey she's going to be an iconic character.
Yeah, she is.
But you didn't find it the constant regurgitation of 1977 a bit much?
No, I didn't.
Only because it probably stems from the fact that the prior 3 movies failed so hard that they proved that they could bring back the original feel, and it captured it so genuinely, and that's why it works. Yeah. And it established characters that have the characters have the ability to carry Star Wars just like the original cast. That's what I like.
Here's another political observation on that, though, is that the main focused characters of the original 3 and the prequels were male, right? And in this one, the focus is on Rey as a female character, and they weren't shoving that down your throat as a political message.
Did it good.
Well, I don't consider Leia to be a minor character in the original trilogy.
No. But those storylines focused on Luke.
Yeah,
he was the main character,
right?
And we're going to get into that though on Princess Leia being, I believe, the what?
She's Luke's daughter.
Oh yeah. Well, I think.
Well, actually, I think she's a Palpatine, but I digress. That's my fan.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be something simple like Luke's daughter.
Yeah, I think she's a Palpatine or she's a Kenobi, but I digress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be interesting.
I hear you.
It would,
that is a popular.
Who says you're not a Star Wars fan?
My thing with what you said, Clark, as far as the characters, I thought there was too much of retrospective to 1977. That they didn't let the characters establish themselves enough, because especially with Rey, they made it overly clear that she's a prodigy. But she's had zero training.
Yeah.
So the fact that she all of a sudden decided that she knew how to do a Jedi mind trick, and calling the lightsaber to her, and I'm like, yo, shorty, wow,
there was
you've had no training, and all of a sudden you're doing these things that took Luke a movie and a half to do.
Don't disagree at all. I don't disagree at all.
That was the 70s, and this is 2017.
I guess things move fast now.
This is a long time ago in a galaxy far from away. So.
They don't like to wait. Yeah, that just got to me, but. I could digress.
Let's reel it back.
Also, but this is a side point.
Okay.
Luke, for being extremely force sensitive as he was like basically being his age and not being aware was actually kind of a shock.
He was a step up from the original.
Because most kids with his level of force sensitiveness would be doing force activities even without trying at a very young age. That's just a stupid...
Kind of like the Harry Potter making the glasses appear accidentally.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Like, in my opinion, Luke, in his mid-20s, he was, I think, more advanced than when you look at the original Jedi structure, how it was, for how he advanced pretty quickly. And it took kids to get up to their teenage years from starting.
That's true.
That's true.
To do what he did, and he did it in just a year.
He just didn't recognize that he was force sensitive. That's all I was.
Yeah. Let's reel it back into the Marvel comics here real quick. I said, does this feel? Does this feel like?
So Marvel, it's the same thing.
Does this feel like an authentic attempt to infuse different cultures for reading purposes, or more of an agenda to shoehorn these circumstances in? To either provoke tolerance or at least send a marketing message that the company cares and takes a stance on the issues.
Who are they owned by?
Disney.
All right, that's the end of story.
I have to agree. It only I'll have to agree with Clarky based upon this. As a black comic book reader, my entire life, and my uncles were comic book readers. Half my old comics came from them. I'm talking about 1950s Batman. Like I have a ton of old comics from my uncles. There have been loads of diverse characters, not as much on the Muslim side, which is more of a newer thing, but there are tons of black characters that get no pop, no pub whatsoever. Blue Marvel is probably my favorite superhero, and I probably don't even know who he is.
I've heard of him.
Spectrum, the first female Captain Marvel, y'all probably don't even know about. She's Spectrum now, but she was Captain Marvel. on the Avengers back in the 70s and 80s. She had, I think it was passed on from Captain Marvel, who was Kree, to her, to Monica Rambeau. You obviously who Luke Cage is because obviously it's the hype, but Spawn. As I mentioned, Blue Marvel.
They're rebooting Spawn.
Night Thrasher. He's like Batman with kendo sticks. Rich black dude just beats people up. I love it. There's so many characters out there. There's the Black Bucky, which they changed his name because that was a racist problem there.
I agree.
Buckwheat? Bucky.
Bucky. They made him in the comics.
They used to call
sense historically.
Yeah, and there's loads. Isaiah Bradley was Captain America for a while. No one made a stink when he's Captain America. But because we were in a different age, different technology wasn't the same back then.
Mm-hmm.
But you had Isaiah Bradley back in the day. Falcon's been around for a hot minute. Black Panther, obviously, he's been on the Avengers since the 60s.
He's getting his own movie, too.
I can't wait for that movie.
Yeah, it should be good. He's so ice cold. I like him.
Oh, he's a fantastic actor. Yeah.
And one of my favorite black actors is actually in that movie. That was
Michael B. Jordan.
Michael B. Jordan,
which I love, but he's in everything.
Actor.
Yeah. He and Zoe Saldana are in everything right now. I'm like, I love you, Mike, but
wasn't he in Friday Night Lights? I think that's when.
Yes, he was in Friday Night Lights. Yeah. He was in Fruitvale Station. He was in The Wire,
which is a great movie too.
If he was in The Wire, then I know.
Yeah, he was in The Wire. Mm-hmm. You mentioned Friday Night Lights.
He was in Chronicle.
Yep, and then he also did. He was also in the new Creed. Fantastic Four, and he also played Creed.
And I hope he gets his own franchise going with Creed.
Oh, he was good. He actually looked like he could fight, unlike most Hollywood actors.
I'm laughing at Fallout Shelter Son.
Yeah. Okay.
Great cast for that film. The woman Dana Guani who plays Michonne, she's going to be in that too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, fantastic cast.
Interesting.
I was going to say earlier, Walking Dead has a shit ton of British actors.
Oh, my God, yeah.
From Michonne to Rick.
Oh, yeah.
To everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's
Coral.
I am actually really on board with his whole point about that.
I'm not.
And not just for black people, just British actors, period.
Get some freaking real
so did you hear that? Because that's something different.
Not just black people. Specifically, it's because black roles are so far and few between, the percentage is different for us, which is why Sam spoke out. But in general, British actors, period, have really taken over Hollywood and American roles in American television.
I never would have thought Rick Grimes was not American.
Come on. That terrible Southern accent?
No, when you watch it,
wow.
I noticed.
That Southern accent was horrible.
I just thought he was a bad actor.
There were Southern accents from Southern people.
British people do terrible Southern accents. And I love Benedict Cumberbatch. When he tried to be Southern in that one movie, it was horrible.
Maggie's Southern accent. I mean,
terrible.
Really?
Terrible.
I mean,
you ask any self-respecting Southerner. You ask any self-respecting Southerner, they're like, "Oh Lord, no." They're like, "Oh, bless her heart, child." No.
Beth. No, that's different. I mean,
she was all right. Yeah.
No, what I'm saying is she was terrible. I didn't think she was.
Oh no, I didn't. I knew she wasn't. I'm talking about her acting. I thought, okay.
Okay, so we're going to keep actually with Marvel because this is something interesting. I think that you would like, and I think you saw it on my Facebook post. But Marvel also made the news this week because one of their comic book artists was sneaking in Quran messages into the artwork. That was not just Quran stuff. It was anti-Jewish and anti-Christian. So artist Adrian Syaf, I think is how you say it, snuck in the number 212 and 51 into scenes in an issue of X-Men Gold #1. So this is actually the first issue to come back out in that series.
Colossus looked awesome on the cover.
It did.
Yes.
Yeah. 212 refers to a verse in the Quran that states, "O you who have believed, do not take the Jews and the Christians as allies. They are, in fact, allies of one another. And whoever is an ally to them among you, then indeed he is one of them. Indeed, Allah guides not the wrongdoing people." Or more common Indonesian translations state for that verse, Muslims should not appoint the Jews and Christians as their leader. The real dig comes in the scene where that number actually shows up on a building when Jewish character Kitty Pryde, who's an X-Men
she's the leader right now in Gold,
addresses a crowd as the new leader of the X-Men. And also the original creator Stan Lee, Jack Kirby are both Jewish, and writer Mark Guggenheim was raised as Jewish.
Yeah. Well, the thing with the verse was actually on one of the other pages on Colossus' T-shirt.
Yes,
it has the QS and then it has a number on it. And then where Kitty is talking to the crowd, there's a jewelry store in the background, and so it says Jew, and then her head cuts off the rest of the word. So it was a very.
I didn't notice
that.
Oh yeah,
that's
I saw the picture
was a
too.
Very.
We'll throw that up in the podcast on YouTube
to Jews. Yep.
I have a question. Did Kitty and Colossus they get married or anything?
Oh yeah, they've had their whole romance since the 70s.
I got up to like episode 230. So.
Oh yeah, they've been going back and forth.
Don't tell me. I'm going to catch up.
Okay.
Later in the comic, Colossus's shirt said the numbers QS 551, referring to the section on the Quran as well, which Matt just mentioned. Marvel responded to the criticism with a statement that read, "The mentioned artwork in X-Men Gold 1, number 1, was inserted without knowledge behind its reported meanings. These implied references do not reflect the views of the writer, editors, or anyone else at Marvel, and are in direct opposition of the inclusiveness of Marvel Comics and what the X-Men have stood for since their creation. This artwork will be removed from subsequent printings, digital versions, and trade paperbacks, and disciplinary action is being taken." Now,
they fired him.
The comic book artist...
Yes, they did.
Oh.
Comic book artist Adrian issued a statement after Marvel's that stated... now, his English isn't too good.
I read that. It was terrible.
It says, "Hello, world. My career is over now. It's the consequences what I did, and I take it. Please, no more mockery, debate, no more hate. I hope all in peace. In this last chance, I want to tell you the true meaning of the numbers 212 and QS 551. It is number of justice. It is number of love. My love to Holy Quran. My love to the last prophet, the messenger. My love to Allah, the one God. My apologies for all the noise. Goodbye. May God bless you all. I love you all." And then he signed it. Clearly, if you look at the passage, though, it is not about love. It's not about justice. It's specifically against Christians and Jews. You know, I mean, this guy is blowing smoke.
Which is why Marvel fired him, because it was clear. Like, it was one thing if it was very subverted. Like, you can interpret it this way or that way. And there's no other way of interpreting it.
No, there isn't. Yeah. Now, did you guys even hear about
this? And this is Marvel. Like, people, and a lot of people.
I didn't know he got fired, though.
Yeah, he got fired. A lot of people, don't, and generally you don't expect Marvel to react in certain ways because Marvel, Disney, whatever, they are not they're a public company. They're not a Christian company. They don't pretend to hold Christian values. But this is a company.
Yeah, but they don't put any religion above another one.
Exactly. And this is a company who, back in the 90s, most people don't know this, had their own Christian comic book series called Illuminator, focused on evangelism. So this is not a company that's going to let that lie. They are they've always been very inclusive. From Stan Lee's been that way his entire tenure, and hopefully when he passes, they'll still continue to uphold that standard. Yeah. They've always been very fair for the most part in Marvel Comics.
Yeah, not based in hate at all.
No.
Yeah. Which Never. Is that I think that statement, if you listen to it, that's hate.
Oh yeah, clearly.
So we can't talk about Marvel without at least touching on DC a little bit.
Oh,
so on the DC Comics front, they are set to release this summer the Wonder Woman movie. Much like my feelings, I am going back and forth here, but I thought that this was a pretty fair comparison in my mind. Much like my feelings on Princess Leia, Rey, and Jyn Erso in the Star Wars movies, or even as far back as Tomb Raider franchise with Lara Croft, this is how we should be approaching the feminist topic of feminine heroes, right?
Lara Croft.
Lara Croft, yeah, sorry. Heroes that are female, where you don't cram agendas of feminism down the audience's throat, where it's like they have foundational stories to them. I think Are you guys excited about that movie?
Oh, absolutely.
Are you kidding me? Oh yeah, I think I already pre-ordered.
Because there's some people I've run into that are like, F that noise.
I cried when she died in Fast and Furious.
Oh,
Number
one. Actually,
so it's not even about Wonder Woman for Ben. It's just her.
But here, actually, what's funny about that? I was talking about the casting. And I like Gal personally as well, and it's also great for her being Israeli. Great role. The original woman they cast actually looks better.
Really?
That's not true.
Oh, bruh,
it's not true.
No, don't worry.
I'll show you later.
The audience will
I heard Gal Gadot's related to the original Wonder Woman.
That she's related to Linda Carter? I had not heard that.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
But Linda Carter,
I read a clip that I just read the headline. Excuse me. I didn't read the story where she said she was too smart to act. Does that mean she's not going to act anymore?
Who?
Gal Gadot. She said, "I'm too smart to be an actor."
Maybe,
what?
Maybe it's because she only got paid $300,000 for all of her movie appearances in DC.
Oh,
that's not good.
That's not good.
That is too smart. Then find someone else, or find someone that will pay.
You were not smart enough to obviously ask for more money. I mean,
your lawyer, whoever your agent, did not negotiate well.
Even this movie.
Yeah, that was her contract.
There's no way.
I swear.
Maybe the Fast and the Furious movies because she had a big role.
The DC Wonder Woman contract was $300,000.
We'll look that up.
She must have miscounted her zeros or something. Because good God, that's terrible.
Yeah, that's. I thought it was pretty bad, but then I'm like, well, I guess she's a supporting character. But
that movie by the previews is gonna do.
So maybe they're talking just
$200 million
movies where she's with Superman and Batman.
Week and a half.
But those are the only movies she was in. I mean,
standalone is a separate contract.
I'd have to imagine it would be.
Nah, the way they do multi-film contracts, it's one big.
Blam. $300,000. Yeah. There was talk about it. I remember reading it, and I felt kind of bad for her. And I thought,
Now, here's the thing, though.
Because Robert Downey Jr. gets how many millions?
Yeah, but if he shows up for a cameo, he doesn't get full ride.
He jump-started Marvel.
That's not true.
Franchise.
That's not true because Sam Jackson, he shows up for cameos. He gets the same. He gets what his contract says he gets per film.
He doesn't get $30 or $40 million dollars.
He's not getting paid what Downey is, but that's the way their contracts are structured. Same for Chris Evans. Same for most of these the movies. Period. When you're doing a franchise series,
so you're
getting X per period.
So is he getting $40 million for Spider-Man?
Oh, he's
whatever. He's getting his full ride.
He has a sizable role in Homecoming.
He does.
Yeah,
he does.
All right, cool. Well, that's good.
Yeah, but I mean that's how they work. So I'm thinking this: she may have not factored that she was going to get her own film because they say we want you to appear in 4 films and you'll get X amount of dollars.
And she'll be able to renegotiate. It'll
hopefully
happen.
Because I mean it's like the
or she's going to sue.
It's like the Michael
and it'll
Jordan
be another
thing.
bad story for DC. And
but to me, I equate it to Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan got underpaid all those years until his contract ended. Then he's like, okay, you're giving me $30 million a year, or I'm not playing.
Well, I think this movie's critical to restarting if they're gonna restart.
Absolutely.
Well, it's because they need a good movie and they've been failing miserably.
Yes. Okay. I was just going to go there. I mean,
Batman vs Superman was terrible.
First of all, I enjoyed it. I enjoy those movies.
I didn't hate it. But
I don't hate it. I enjoy it.
It's kind of boring.
Yeah. Oh, don't even get me on. Don't even get me on Batfleck. I will go off on Batfleck. Don't even get me on Batfleck.
Do you don't like him as Batman, or is it just that
Ben Affleck should never ever play a superhero ever?
Oh, you're not looking forward to Matt Damon as Robin?
I don't. I'm not.
Good one.
That is funny.
The only thing that would have been worse than Matt Damon playing Robin is if Tim Burton would have got his way in Batman Returns and Marlon Wayans. And I love Marlon Wayans would have been Robin. That's the only thing that would have been worse.
Returns?
Yes, what? Marlon Wayans gets paid to this day for Batman Returns, even though he never appeared in it. He was going to be Robin.
Oh wow! How do you know this?
Because that's what I do.
I'm gonna hit my dating. What's his face during Batman Returns? Keaton.
Yeah.
And the only reason she became Catwoman was because they were dating.
And
he wanted off.
Keaton is the Vulture in the new Spider-Man.
Keaton's excellent. I can't wait to see him as Vulture.
Great. Yeah. We need him in more superhero movies because he's just batshit crazy.
Yes, but he's awesome at it.
Okay, so John, being the person that we haven't gotten to for most of the night here, in video game news, Mass Effect Andromeda released a couple weeks ago and was met with a few political criticisms right off the bat. Manveer Hare, a former game designer on the BioWare team that released Mass Effect, came under fire for a massive amount of racial anti-white tweets that sparked a petition to have him fired from the team. Criticism over the character creation system in the game also, and its inability to create fair-skinned white characters and possibly a lack of Asian representation are also being possibly tied to Air as well, right? Other criticisms include wonky animations, horrendous female character animations, and a transgender character that angered the transgender community because she just came out in the initial conversation with her transgender history. Like, just here it is on the table.
And she was ashamed.
Well, no, it was her former masculine... She brought up her former masculine name and a seemingly negative view of the entire Milky Way galaxy being, homophobic or anti-transgender for their intolerance of the transgender community. So, Is this the same Milky Way that accepted Bruce Jenner so quickly as Caitlyn? You know what I mean?
But that's so much that he won Woman of the Year, which is a slap in the face to every woman.
Oh my gosh! I mean, if you've seen my podcast before, I have laid out some fantastic.
I'm a big Mass Effect fan. So let me jump in real quick before you step in.
Have you been playing this one?
I played the demo. I didn't drop the money for it yet because honestly, I felt bad since I haven't finished Mass Effect 3. I'm like halfway through.
Oh.
So I have a rule: I can't buy myself a new game if I haven't finished the last one.
Okay.
I did see the patch. I don't know if you heard there was a patch that was released.
Well, we've been playing it.
Okay. Well, you got to download the patch. Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of those problems, obviously, with the face and stuff, that was fixed. I will say I appreciated one thing on their effort to make people look more natural. Because they did come under fire for how everyone looks so beautiful in video games. So they made some people, unfortunately most of them women, very ugly. But I understand.
Are you trying to say most women are ugly?
No, but I think that's what they're trying to say. And like, there's certain things I appreciate. Like, for example, either one of you ever watch The Killing?
No.
Okay, it's on Netflix. I enjoy it. I tried to get a friend of mine to watch The Killing.
I heard it was good.
It's a very good show. And he said I couldn't do it. I said, why? He said, the chick, she's so ugly. And this dude's gay, mind you, okay? And he's like, the chick, she's so ugly, and the dude's ugly too. I said, that's why I like it. They're real people. They're actors. They look like normal people you see on the street. Not everybody's got to be airbrushed and super sexy to lead in a show or to lead in a game. They look like normal people.
Well, it's funny because John actually sent me these articles to follow up on. And one of the things that the one article pointed out that you sent was that they, like the criticism was that they hired a bunch of basically lesbian millennials with purple hair that have a weight problem into the game designing industry, and that they were pushing their agenda of women don't look that good type thing through this whole thing.
How it sells, and you might be. Some people love that. They want to appeal to them, but a lot of people, especially in gaming, they want to live a simulation.
Yeah, they want to escape.
They want to have. It was funny. People on Reddit describe it the best. They say, the big fat guy with the triple chin wants to have the biceps where he's got two women on each arm and whatever in his video game, and that's exactly what they want. You want hot girls, and you want to stare at their butt when you're in third person and watching them run around through levels. You don't want to look at something that's not eye appealing and eye candy, and so that's what they were really talking about with the game.
I agree with that, actually. You're trying not the aspect of what he's talking about, but when you're playing a game, you go to see a movie, you watch a TV. No, I disagree. I think I disagree. I think you go to just push life out of the way for any type of entertainment purpose and focus on something for a couple hours that lets you escape.
Mass Effect 60 hours and a movie's 2 hours. That's just what I mean.
Right. I mean, but you're not doing 60 hours.
I would get into a movie with a guy.
It depends.
A game, I want to see a nice guy for 60 hours.
I know you guys aren't PS people, but
I am.
The Horizon game,
the
heroine. I wouldn't say she's anything special, but she was the main character. And Lindsay walked by and she was like, she's so ugly. And I'm like, how do you play this? I'm just like, well, I'm shooting giant dinosaurs.
Robotic
dinosaurs.
People loved Tomb Raider for the bouncy tits.
But for me, it brought up...
Wait. Now, when Lara Croft, remember, she was very blocky and very ugly. She wasn't exactly super sexy.
She was over proportion.
She was over proportion, but the sexiness really didn't come into effect for the sexiness until the movie. That's when the sexiness really took part. Because before that, she was...
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, before that, it was just... She was an awesome chick. The shorts weren't that... They weren't... And they were pointy. They were like Madonna pointy, triangles. But
graphics were graphics.
What's the way your podcast?
I think
especially
in the modern game.
Is there like
but as a fanboy myself, the focus wasn't on her looks as much until the film series came out.
It was a great adventure series.
What I'm going by is there's multiple YouTube videos of her climbing across ropes and stuff like that, just to look at her body.
So I never came across those videos. I don't know why you would.
So to my point, though, this was the first time, when Lindsay told me, hey, she's not an attractive character, I'm like, yeah, it's true, and I'm still playing.
Dead or Alive.
But Dead or Alive is made for that. Yes. Dead or Alive is made for dudes who want to, get themselves happy by looking at computer animated women. That was made purely pretty much for that, and I love Dead or Alive. Don't get me wrong; it's one of my favorite.
Yakuza 0.
For my favorite franchises, fighting wise. But come on, Dead or Alive Beach Volleyball. That was made purely for eye candy entertainment.
So, getting back to Mass Effect, I went into character creation this morning, and it's changed since the launch.
Really?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
so
I heard them
they have 11 preset characters. The hairstyles are still the same. There's 10 or 14, I forget. But there's only one non-liberal hairstyle. I'm going to say that.
Well, what's a liberal hairstyle?
A liberal hairstyle.
No, I can't because I can't say that.
On one side, pulled over the
No, I keep on hitting my mic. I'm sorry.
The side part. All right.
Yeah. Well, see, I can't say that because as a black dude, all our hairstyles are all the same.
Well, there's two black hairstyles in it. There's
that's every video game. There's always you either got cornrows or you have an afro.
True.
There are no others. There's no high top fade. No cornrows.
They don't have cornrows. It's just afro or the little. I guess, I don't know, little...
Yeah, please.
Oh, the mini dreads?
Go on.
Okay, the mini dreads.
They're little
the
rubber bands.
Yeah, the mini dreads. Yeah.
Mini dreads.
Yeah. Well, that's every video game has two things for black people. Yeah.
One's shaved head. There's 3. There's only 11. So, go through that, and then there's character presets. So, when I first started the game, my character looked like he was Mexican. When I first started. Now when I started it, he was actually white. It was a weird white. He was sort of like Shepard from Lost.
Jack Shepard.
Okay.
Yeah. Jack Shepard, like stubbly facial hair and white and brown hair. But then you go through them, and they had an Alaskan Native preset character now. Like it was Inuit almost. So it wasn't.
What else do they have to do up there besides play video games?
He was
cold,
dark skinned, but had wide nose, slanted eyes, and then crazy facial hair with like lines going through his beard. That was the last character I looked at, and there was no Asians when I first started the game. That was one of the complaints. Mm-hmm. So there were, I think, 3 or 4 Asian presets now. There's only 2 white. 3 or 4 preset Asian, and then a bunch of like mixed race and 2 black that I saw. But for a game that is trying to be so PC and so inclusive, it still seems so boxed.
It's flat out inexcusable given what's out there in general across RPGs.
Yes, it so many options.
It should be just full open. I mean, I don't even know why it's even remotely restricted.
I know, yeah.
I went into eyes.
Well, it's not. There's presets that he's talking about.
So,
and then you can fine-tune something.
You can fine-tune the Asians' cheeks and nose, but you can't do eyes.
Okay.
So the eyes are locked. So that's what one of the original gripes was, is you can't change the eye slant or anything about. All you can do is change the width between the nose and the height. That's it. That's all you can do.
So facial structure.
That's it. You can't do anything about slanting in the eyes. Now you can do your nose, but it's still if you had a white preset or a black preset or whatever the other presets were, which you couldn't define, they were kind of mixed.
Yeah, they don't want to put a
that
label
was
on
it, and then you couldn't change anything about it. You could only change skin tone and where the stuff was positioned, but none of the features.
I don't see how you guys can play this game because my wife saw the preview and she goes, "Is that the game where you sleep with people?" I'm like,
yeah, there's some of that in there. Just a little bit.
And I'm upset.
Yeah, this is until my wife was playing Batman, and she had a chance to. She was playing Batman. She had a chance to hook up with Catwoman, and she was like, "This is going down." I'm like, "Okay."
Honestly,
so
better.
I think I'm clear to get the game now. So
I don't have any sex scenes until like 40 hours in, but I'm slow poke with my stuff. I read everything and everything, but
I'm combing all the missions on all the plans.
I love the game. I gave it an 8 out of 10. It's a really good game.
Oh, I would be up there. I'd be up there.
There's just you can tell like we said, shove down your throat. They showed the voice actors, which he's talking about. The voice actor who plays the female character, she has purple hair and she's kind of chubby.
To be fair, I'm speaking directly to what they wrote in the article.
Yeah. And the guy who plays, they both look like they're from Portlandia. The guy
yes.
Black, thick glasses, and he's there like Michael, like Seymour or whatever from a freaking.
Like she was he's sitting next to her, and it's like he was afraid of like anything that she says.
Beat him up or eat him or something.
Like a skinny little dweeby guy.
It's hilarious. So the guy who got fired from he was all over Twitter with just anti-white remarks in general, and he had a coffee mug as his profile picture that had white tears, and that was his not liberal or conservative tears, white tears. Yeah. That was pretty. I mean, come on, man. So he took a lot of heat. What I noticed that was not talked about in any of these articles, I love the game and playing the game, and I came across a mission where you have to choose between drilling for water to help a community and get water, or
Eos.
One of the planets, whatever it is. I don't want to spoil anything. Or you drill for natural gas to create a military alliance. So it's like, what do you want to do? And you're
that's
locked
not
in.
political or not.
Well, everything has consequences. Well,
so this is 600 years in the future, and you're in another galaxy, and you're just dropping by this planet. And then when you ask about what to do, they say, well, if you drill for the natural gas, you're going to pollute the atmosphere, and it's going to ruin the planet.
Yep.
Drill, baby,
like,
drill.
Okay, it's called natural gas, number one, and it leaks automatically into the atmosphere. And it's 600 years in the future, and we're all high tech, and
it burns clean.
We
didn't figure anything out.
There's all these things, but that's what I mean. There's a little bit of environmentalism, global warming kind of shoved in your face there in that mission. It's like, do you pick the military alliance and be a Republican and ruin the earth? Or do you pick the water and help the people and become a passionate humanitarian?
That's published by the Montreal group, right? Still,
it was. Yep. BioWare Montreal.
Yep. I would think it would be with that kind of messaging, the Texas group, the Austin group, or whatever. Don't they have something down in Austin?
Could be just
BioWare. But I was like, where's the fracking with the water and getting the water out of the ground? There's that part of it too. But
they can't put everything in. Like, come on.
So let's stick with the video game industry, though, and while we're on that and political topics, a couple of weeks ago, former IGN writer Colin Moriarty sent out a tweet on International Women's Day that read, peace and quiet, hashtag a day without a woman. So first of all, it is worth noting that this is obviously a joke, wow. Especially considering his employment at the time was with Kinda Funny as a co-founder with an all-male team of Tim Geddes, Greg Miller, and Nick Scarpino. That's what we're getting into. It's also worth mentioning that prior to even sending it out, he showed his wife the tweet for her opinion, and she laughed. Okay, sorry. Yeah. She laughed and supported him sending it.
Married.
That's true. Except Pierre, who apparently makes literally every dollar at that company.
Pretty much.
None to anyone else.
Side observation here. The fact that he showed it to her for her approval in the first place shows where we have ended up as a society that you can't even joke about this.
I don't even think it was for approval. I just think he showed it to her to crack her up. Honestly, that's what I think.
Or he showed it to cover himself, so when he knew he got the backlash, he could say, I showed a woman first. I got her approval. Isn't that global?
He's not that kind of guy. No. So he probably says, hey, look, I'm sending this. She's like, haha. Yeah. That's what.
So following heavy backlash from the left, feminists, both male and female, as well as social justice warriors, Moriarty resigned his position with Kinda Funny. And Colin, right around that time, also appeared on the Glenn Beck Show and the Rubin Report to present his side of the story in an unapologetic way, stating that giving these criticizers an inch on the battlefield with an apology or backtracking is akin to giving up the battle, because when you give an inch, they take a couple miles. Since his resignation with Kinda Funny, Colin, who has been outspoken on politics even during his time as a game writer, has said his love for history and politics has trumped his love for video games in recent years anyway, and has decided to launch a new initiative focusing on those two areas with a new venture called Colin's Last Stand on YouTube and Patreon. While the social justice warriors of the world celebrate the fact that Colin resigned from Kinda Funny, they fail to see that his unapologetic stance and stand against them has garnered him more recognition and solidified a political force against their agenda, with him focusing even more on political commentary that they are sure to disagree with. Colin stands as an example of how to approach and react to the new age social justice warrior agenda. Stand tall, don't apologize, and push forward and against their agenda even harder. I think he's going to be bigger than ever now.
Oh, a couple things on this. So I've been following Colin since he wrote Guides at IGN. I actually fund his Patreon, so I pay him monthly. So I do contribute, and so I followed him a long time, and I tweet at him all the time.
I'm trying to think which guy that he is. Is he the
He's got tatted beard. Politics has always been his passion.
He just reviewed a recent game that he gave a really high score, I think.
I don't know.
But his love's for PS. He's a PS
He's a
guy.
PlayStation guy. Always has been.
But I think he's made the right move. I don't know if the Glenn Beck thing and even the Rubin thing were even tied. It was so quick that I don't even.
It was all. No, I'm not saying
I think
tied,
it had to
but
be planned ahead of
time.
time. Yeah. And he says on the record that the tweeting issue wasn't why he resigned. I think
he felt it brought a bad image to the company.
And
which I disagree.
He was a partner, so no one could force him to resign unless they wanted to buy him out, and that company's not worth squat yet. So that wasn't happening. So my point is, he left because he wanted to, and honestly, probably because he was sick of it. And he spent the entire election. He's no Trump fan at all. He spent the entire election really preaching at the left, just trying to talk sense into him. And I think it just got to the point, and in the end, and a lot of them were understanding him because he didn't like Trump, but at the same time, he was speaking to a more libertarian message. Yeah. Well, he's a libertarian. He's straight. He's straight libertarian, and
he is. Yeah. Well, first of all, before we go, and I will let you continue that. If you have a chance to check out the Glenn Beck interview and the Rubin report, both were fantastic interviews.
Don't watch Glenn Beck too much if you don't have to, but Rubin, you can go.
He's a Tommy Lahren fan.
Don't get me on Tommy Lahren.
Mark Levin.
Levin's good.
All right, back to my point. My point is, his new show, he's putting out some political commentary, which isn't honestly that great, but he's been doing some videos. Really cool. I think it was on the Third Amendment video he did on his first one. It was real long. I thought it was entertaining and interesting. So he's going to be, I think he's speaking tonight with David Rubin at in some college in California. Good. I'm interested to see if they get protests. So stay tuned.
He's not at the level of brashness that Milo Yiannopoulos is.
No, but I don't think it does. I don't think it really matters content. It's just a matter of what those kids.
Well, yeah, they don't even understand what they're protesting.
Literally, if they hear and he's libertarian, he's spoken conservative about two topics, they might literally just mobilize.
Those same people that criticized Colin also said that he showed up on far right-wing shows like Glenn Beck and Dave Rubin.
Yep.
Rubin's a classic liberal homosexual.
Yep.
I mean, they don't even understand. They don't do the research into finding out what's actually going on.
Rubin's not really a liberal, though. I mean,
he was. Yes. He's starting to realize things with this whole election cycle.
He's still kind of he plays that he sits on that fence in a very smart way.
Oh yeah,
the way he's at now, he's positioned.
He is.
I think they're
smart.
both positioned in a way to really thrive. I don't think where they're at, socially liberal, but very fiscally hard conservative and very, very pro-Constitution. But they are on the very left side of socialist.
Yeah.
I think that's just a really nice niche to be in right now.
I agree. Are you familiar with Dave Rubin?
A little bit.
Do you know Dave Rubin? Do you watch it? Personally, one of my favorite commentators right now.
Very good speaker.
Yeah. So,
what do you think about IGN as a network, where they lean politically?
Oh, super left.
Yeah, but you know what?
They're not overt about it, but they do.
What about GameSpot?
I gave up on GameSpot a long time ago.
Does GameSpot even matter?
Yeah.
I don't think they matter. I haven't paid that much attention to GameSpot.
They're actually pretty in bed with IGN.
But, yeah, more and more.
But they're more like European, I want to say. They have
for the European player, I go between IGN or What Culture. I pretty much ignore GameSpot.
See, the thing with IGN is they know that when they hit on political issues, that's what gets the most comments on their site.
Yeah.
Because game fans either want to throw in their 2 cents one way or the other, or you have 90% of the people saying, stop with the political crap. Just give us our video games and the reviews and stuff, and let us have our own politics.
The game boards have come back, though. I mean, the game boards used to be hard left, and now there's a fight back.
I think that there is.
On the message boards, and the people fighting back are pretty tough. In fact, they're tougher than the left, so they're hitting hard.
Good. That's what we need.
Just to bring, I think the idea though is just to get politics out of
which I love about when gamers do it, is because the majority of them will actually do their homework before they say something.
Yeah, I agree.
Unlike most subcultures.
Yep. Okay. Let's see here.
Did you just kind of tie into that before you move on? Did you think his tweet had anything to do with a retrospective on Gamergate?
What was that again?
Gamergate.
Yeah, what was that again?
Gamergate is just the ultra high liberal movement being pushed in, and feminism and all that, right?
I don't think so.
No.
Well,
I think he was trying to crack a simple joke.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that you can't make a joke like that anymore is pretty sad.
What was his joke?
Peace and quiet. Hashtag a day without women.
I laughed. I fought it live. I laughed pretty
Why
hard.
was that? Because it was Women's Day and they weren't in the office, or
no? It was just
but also because he's in an all-male office. I mean, it's like that's why. It's
but even National Women's Day. So the whole point of National Women's Day was to
recognize
illegally
women.
boycott your work.
Yeah, not show up.
Oh yeah,
that makes sense as a great statement.
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah, the point, the overall point to that was to prove that you need women for a company to function. What ended up happening was a lot of women got fired for being idiots.
Okay, well, yeah, in that context, yeah, it's funny. Like, why it's National RoboCop Day. I'm not going to go to work on Monday. I'm probably going to get in trouble. Duh, no matter what my cause is for.
All right, so we'll get to the last topic here. We're actually good on time. Depending on how this goes with Matt over here.
Oh, wow.
Last week, my co-host Gabe and I discussed the reaction to the new movie Ghost in the Shell starring Scarlett Johansson that is based on a Japanese anime as whitewashing the character because the character, the Major, is Japanese in the anime version. This is going to be fun.
Oh, wow.
Matt over here had expressed an interest in calling in, and I was unable to get reception at the time, but he is here tonight, and I figured we would cover this topic with his disagreement to ours to get a different perspective.
Can you put the Ghost in the Shell second gig cover on this section and like zoom it in so they can see Major like on the cover?
I did that last week.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean,
No, before you just to clarify, because he said disagreement. I actually haven't even told him my stance yet. So this disagreement.
Yeah, I said so. Matt,
scratch that. Take that off the record. Because I know Clarky is just as a big a fan of Ghost in the Shell as I am. I'm going to defer to him, and then I'll and as well, and John. Then I'll say my piece.
Let me go over the topic real quick again. There was a huge movement against this as soon as the movie was announced.
Before the movie.
Yeah, before it released, because Scarlett Johansson was cast, and the fact that this is a Japanese anime and she was cast as a white character. You know, they were saying
well,
that
she's
the
not
term
cast as a white character. She's a white woman playing a Japanese character.
And this is what they're calling whitewashing in Hollywood, is replacing ethnic characters with white actors or actresses. So you saw the movie. You said you liked it. I'm seeing bad reviews all over the place for it. But you said you can't wait for a sequel.
It's not going to get a sequel.
No, it's not.
Well, it didn't make enough money.
It seems like.
I mean,
well, it's because it is.
It really should have gotten. I think it has the capability and deservingly so to get one. But that was just my opinion. I thought it was close enough to the original anime, especially at certain scenes. I'm more familiar. I mean, I've watched the original anime a couple of times. I'm more familiar with the Fallout material, which is better than the original anime.
Blasphemy.
No, it's far. Oh, yeah.
Standalone
Complex and Second Gig are some amazing anime shows.
Yes, they are.
Couple points. I watch a lot of anime. I have.
This is the better side of the room. If you have,
I think we need our own podcast on nerd stuff too.
Most Japanese anime, I would say, is race neutral. In that they don't even in Japanese.
Dem's fighting words.
No, even in a setting of Tokyo, they draw and create characters that are primarily what we would consider Caucasian.
Yes,
they don't have any distinct Asian characteristics.
No,
the initial Ghost in the Shell was the same thing. Second Gig, Standalone Complex are both the same way. Major is whiter than ever with purple hair. So, for whatever reason, she plays a dead Asian in a white cyborg body. So, from that standpoint alone, casting a white character to play a white cyborg makes 100% sense. It is exactly as the movie and the shows have always been. And honestly, it's more it's even deeper than Ghost in the Shell. It's more standard with the entire Japanese anime industry. in that most shows they literally try to go race neutral. They take all Asian characteristics out of characters, and they generally will favor a traditional white character. That's just how they look.
Before you jump in, I just want to say something.
Mm-hmm.
I did read in one of the articles that they tampered or retooled the backstory for her.
Yes.
So is that what you're saying? So before the Caucasian shell, right? Was it a Japanese?
Correct.
Okay. So that's something that's completely different. Then that changes this whole thing up, because that is even more to my points that I was making last week.
What was your point? Was whitewashed?
No, I did completely disagree with that.
No, it's just it's a white shell, and as far as you know, even that's all I know. I'm just saying it fits within the original, and that's all I care about, because that's what it was based off of.
To jump back and he can respond to these comments, and what I said about this whole thing was that, listen, you're talking about. Gabe made a great point last week, which is, if you're going to make a movie that's purely aimed at the fanboys and stays with the original everything, you're not going to make money on that. Yeah. Because there might be a big crowd for that, but it's not a global crowd.
Just to
right?
jump in on this, your point. Yeah. Who if they had to?
No, stop! Don't.
All right, go
so. And he knows it, because I told him I was going to ask him a question, but now he already saw the podcast, so he's done it.
No, actually, I didn't. I actually purposely didn't watch because of that.
Well, here's the thing. For me, it really does come down to money. Okay, the fact that you're going through Hollywood now. First of all, this director doesn't have a list of movies behind him that are made it popular at all.
Right.
I think his top grossing movie was $300,000 globally. Okay, before this. If you're going to be coming out with a Hollywood budget of $110 million, now some estimates are up to $130 million. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm sorry. If you're going to an American audience, you got to throw in an actor that is going to pull that kind of money back to you, so you can actually make money on the movie instead of losing it. And to Ben's point earlier about a sequel and everything, they're not going to hit that. With what's going on, you have to make an exceedingly obscene amount of money over the top to go with a sequel.
Overseas, it could do well. That's my
but without an American audience tapped into that.
Here's the funny thing: when interviewed in Tokyo, I don't know if it was Fox News ran over to do. They asked, "Hey, what do you think of Scarlett Johansson playing the Major?" Yeah, and all the Japanese were like, "Oh, this is so cool."
Yeah, it was actually a Japanese guy, Utah, over there that did it. And I put that video on the last podcast.
But I'll let you continue. I have a couple questions, but go ahead.
Well, look, to Ben's point, he thought of it on his own. My question to you last week on the phone was going to be, okay, let's go down the road that you wanted to go down and cast what you thought should have been a Japanese character.
Why do you say that?
What ethnicity character should have been cast in that spot that would have pulled the type of money that a Scarlett Johansson name would pull?
My thing with Ghost in the Shell is that my problem isn't with this. The movie is excellent.
Did you see it?
I saw it.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Right. I didn't see it. I didn't see it.
So. It the old torrent, but it was good. It's good. It's real good. My thing with Ghost in the Shell is I feel bad for it because it's receiving a backlash that it doesn't deserve. Because whitewashing is a legit thing in Hollywood.
That's
this is not an example of it, and I'll explain why. And was different some different points. One, as Ben so eloquently said, Major looks white. And anime in general, as I'm also a big anime fan, I wouldn't say anime is racial neutral. The Japanese have always drawn themselves to look whiter. In that area, whether it's Thailand, whether it's Japan, even parts of China, the paler you are, the more pearl you look, the better. So they've always drawn characters in that aspect. Because if it was racial neutral, the way they draw people of color and others is terrible. But they very much look.
Yeah, I'm just saying, racially neutral. They don't care about it all that much.
Right, it's not a big thing because they cater to their audience, like you said here. So casting Scarlett Johansson, I had no problem with.
Okay.
Because one, not only is Major look white, Major's a cyborg. Since when do cyborgs have a gender? And two, Major has changed genders. Major has changed genders as well, as races.
Yes.
So Major doesn't have a set anything because it's a cyborg.
Once she becomes a cyborg, and this goes later on in the series.
But for fans like us who know the series, it doesn't matter because there's
ages.
Yeah,
so you were completely on our side.
So I'm complete with the casting. I feel bad for the movie because it's gotten snowballed into this. Yeah. Now, when it comes to your point with the video and the Japanese people, the reaction, the Japanese people understand this is a Hollywood movie. This isn't their movie. If they did the movie, they would have a Japanese person playing Major. And because, for example,
for the same reason,
Full Metal Alchemist. Yeah, Japan's doing a live action version.
Yeah, I saw.
Full Metal Alchemist is about a German kid, but they are starring a Japanese person. Okay, why? Because it's their movie. It's for their audience.
Story at all either too.
You know? Well, in some things, it has an impact, but for Japan,
not the gender of the child.
No, not the gender. I'm talking about the race.
Yeah, I want to get back. I want to get back to you on something real quick. But
right.
Any thoughts on this at all?
Same thing. I agree with Ben. I think go to Dragon Ball Z. Everybody looks white. A bunch of anime, in my opinion, they do try and make their characters look white. So.
Okay, just one on this point, the Ghost in the Shell point, because it just made me so furious. Bato is primarily a white character in the anime. He was also in the movie. The couple characters that were definitely Asian were kept Asian.
Yeah,
Chief and the one guy who doesn't get any cyborg enhancements was played by a pretty famous Japanese actor. In the show, that guy was definitely Japanese. They kept him Japanese. I think they did it. Honestly, they did it perfectly.
I thought it was masterfully done, except for the fact that the story was made weaker for a more general public audience.
Yeah.
That was my biggest concern with the movie, is just that visually they made it look a whole lot, in certain action scenes, a whole lot like the anime. I was very impressed. But story-wise, they definitely watered it down a bit too much for my personal taste.
Well, the better sci-fi aspects all come in the second
and later
series.
on anyway.
When you go into Standalone Complex, which is about cyber brain hacking to the extreme, it's way more sci-fi.
Exactly.
They needed a good start.
But for me, so I understand what you're talking about with the money part, because but there's a big difference between our audience and why people put it into the whitewashing thing, which I get is unfair. But we're talking about Japan movie made for Japan. They're going to cast Japanese people. Well, I mean, Japan's like 95% Japanese. I mean, they have a downtrend in their population because of mortality and the lack of immigration. People just don't immigrate.
Well, and their immigration policies are a lot more strict.
They're strict, but they're very strict. But it's just not a place where people go and settle. And they also don't pretend to be what we say we are here in America, is as a melting pot. We know Japan is for Japanese, and if you go there, you have to understand that you're not going to get catered to.
Yeah.
When you have a country like ours that says they're a melting pot, think if America didn't say we're a melting pot, then as our culture, that's what we claim. We claim to be a melting pot culture, because you can't have it both ways.
One more,
but there has to be
either it's white man's world or it's a melting pot. If it's a melting pot, then when you have legitimate whitewashing concerns, you can't say, "Oh, you're just being a social justice warrior," or you're being ridiculous because of money.
What if we would have cast a Chinese actress to play the Major? Chinese, not Japanese. What if we would have cast a South Korean actress? They're not.
I don't care at all.
I'm just saying that's a culture thing. We're saying, we just want anyone that looks kind of Asian.
Most social justice warriors wouldn't care because they wouldn't know the difference.
But to actually Japanese and to Asians and South Koreans and Chinese, they actually probably care about that stuff.
Yeah.
It's completely hypocritical. I think they did it.
Well, just like the blowback, which wasn't huge, but Memoirs of a Geisha, there was some blowback amongst the Japanese community because Zhang Ziyi is Chinese, and so is Michelle Yeoh. But they were playing Japanese women.
As Americans, we were just like, "Oh, it's fine."
Well, most Americans don't realize that.
But we're not that sensitive to their cultural issues to even recognize it. I just think that's more of a real point than the one we're arguing about right now.
To quickly touch upon what you just said before about the melting pot thing, where I'll disagree with you is I believe the way I look at the melting pot statement on America is that everybody's welcome to come in, but there also has to be a bar of like
assimilation.
Yeah, assimilation. You know, it's not that we don't have any set language or customs, and the Constitution doesn't apply to some people.
In the entertainment field we're talking about, like back to Gods of Egypt, you're doing a movie about another culture in America in the different times, and yet everybody's white. That's just
let's just ban that movie from any.
But this is just unfortunately, it's just a great example.
That's an example of just a bullshit garbage throw away. Sorry,
but no, but you, for example,
action.
But for example, there was
2, 1. No.
Okay, there was this other movie, I forget the name of it, but that Emma Stone is in, where she plays a Korean
Beauty and the
woman.
Beast? No.
I'm like, Emma Stone's Korean? Since when? She don't even look Korean.
Did you see Beauty and the Beast? I didn't.
Before any of that,
I did not, because I don't like Beauty and the Beast.
Great Wall.
Whitewash. Yes. Here comes the white savior.
Failed in America, made a bunch of money in Asia.
Yeah. Right.
Really? People in Asia love it.
I actually kind of want to watch that. I will.
The reason why it made money there is because the way it was promoted here is that the white savior comes to save the day. And what they really, and that's how it was promoted. That's exactly how the movie was promoted.
Back up.
That's pretty much it. Oh, look, we've been preparing for this for so long. Let's get Matt Damon and his Spanish friend. His Spain, not Spanish, he's from actually Spain. Pedro
like Robin Hood.
He played. He's from the Game of Thrones. Dude's Spanish. He's from Spain.
Well, William Dafoe was in the movie too.
But the dude that played the Red Viper in Game of Thrones, he was in it too. He was he was Matt Damon's homeboy. The movie is actually filmed as they're like helping them out, but they're not brought in as the white saviors. So that's the way the actual story goes. Mm-hmm. But the promotion in the United States, we need help. White people, please come help us to save the day. I mean, that's how it was promoted. And that irritated a lot of people. It irritated me when I first saw the trailer. So when I thought
it looked horrible. Every trailer.
Ron Burgundy. White people assemble.
Right. Pretty much what it was. So when I actually saw the film, I was like, okay, this isn't as bad.
Wait, you saw it?
Yeah.
Okay, how was it?
It was okay.
Okay.
It was okay. It wasn't great. Some of the action and the CGI was a little over the top. I believe that there was terrible lack of chemistry amongst the cast.
Matt Damon probably wasn't on set. He was just like blue screen the whole time, and
so there
never left his apartment.
Probably, he's still in Boston. Hey, let's call the white guy from Boston.
Ben, I need help with this scene.
Yeah. I'm too busy trying to be Batman.
Side note: Matt watches every movie.
Yeah, I watch too much. I really do.
Asian actresses. Okay. The second Wolverine. No, the one was the Silver Samurai. That Asian actress.
She was
awesome.
In there, right?
I wish she'd be in a lot more movies.
Yes.
There's a couple that.
She was in the movie with the robots that fight the kite.
I love that. I love that movie. By the way,
Hugh Jackman movie,
and that's going to get a sequel.
No,
that's Real Steel.
Real Steel. Yeah,
that's Real. That's a terrible.
Pacific Rim. Great movie. That's
great. Yeah, there was making a second Pacific Rim.
She was in that too.
She was in that movie.
Okay. So I want to get back to Matt though, because
so what you're saying, like, to me, with the melting pot, and not just that particular terrible film in Gods of Egypt, but others like the Emma Stone example, where you continually put white actors in places like Pay It Forward, for example. Pay It Forward was Kevin Spacey and Joel Osment. Those characters were black in the book, but most people don't realize that those characters were black. Why was there a purpose and need to replace a black character with the white character?
Ticket sales.
Right, but if for a melting pot, why can we not be a legit melting pot? What is the difference in the culture?
Is that a one-way street for you though? Because that's the
no, it's a two-way street for me.
Because in Beauty and the Beast,
because I have the same problem when I don't call it whitewashing, I call it palette swapping. To me, there's no need to palette swap. When you palette swap, whether it's Idris for Bond or it's Emma Stone for a Korean, you are telling me either you don't have the faith in the people to support the movie, or you're just too lazy to create an original character.
Okay.
With Bond, they're too lazy to create an original character. There are so many other you can be 009, 008, whatever.
Yeah, I would love to see
a farther deep dive into MI6. Yeah. I would love it. He just does not have to be Bond.
That's fair.
And if you're going to, one thing if you replaced a Korean character with a white character and just sub the character out just because, again, either you couldn't find anybody or you just like, we have to have this person in there. Don't say Emma Stone's playing a Korean woman. because you're just lying to me now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's true.
Just say Emma Stone is playing this Irish girl or whatever, and that is inserted into the movie.
And I didn't bring it up in the Beauty and the Beast review because, frankly, I don't care
about the gays, the supposed.
No. That was I had to address that controversy because that was out there. You know, they had to make it a point as a shoehorning agenda to throw that in there, and it wasn't a big deal, and that pissed off the gay community that he didn't turn out to be.
They banned it in some communities. The movie.
Yeah, but because they hadn't seen it either. Though.
Right.
But my point that I'm getting to is some of the characters that were, and I don't know about the books, I don't even know if they would even say anything in the books, but in the original animated version, some of these characters were white, and when they were turned back into human from their inanimate objects, or animated objects in this case, or whatever form, they were actually black characters. In these French times. Now, that being said, this is all fantasy world anyway.
It's a fantasy, but again, when you're basing that fantasy on real life, France, which is a real place, you're not going to find those black people out in the French country.
There's a giant beast in the movie. Let's not.
And that's what I said about the homosexual aspect. Is we're all worried about men on men action, but we're promoting a princess chasing a beast. Bestiality. I mean,
I look at a Disney movie like a Broadway play. It doesn't really matter. Just let
and that's what I'm saying. That's why I didn't even bring it up in the review.
I didn't even watch Beauty and the Beast because I never liked it anyway. Even as a kid, I overanalyzed.
See, that was the first movie I ever saw.
That's a great movie.
See, I don't like it. Like, I'm sorry. Wait.
Well, did you see?
Why is there an 11-year-old boy living by himself with a bunch of servants? Where are his parents? And then why would a witch curse an 11-year-old for not letting her in the house? I'm sorry. If my parents are on a trip and a stranger comes to the house, they're going to say, "Don't let in strangers."
Listen, George Washington was out in the woods at the age of 13 doing hunting and going off to war.
Was he letting strangers into his home? I bet you his parents said, "Don't let strangers into the house."
I don't know. Things are a lot different. We have millennials now that don't consider themselves to be adults until they're the age of 30.
But again, how does it make any sense for a witch to curse an 11-year-old boy for saying, "No, you can't come in my house"? My parents
you're killing the movie. All right, let's move on.
It's called. I didn't. As a kid, I wasn't that. I was 12, something like that when it came out. I was like, this makes no sense.
Well, you are a true movie critic.
I am.
Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna end the podcast here with that, and if we'll stick around and do a quick short recording of anything else that we want to talk about. But final thoughts, real quick, since we're gonna end this out with nerdy things on what you're looking forward to in 2017 with movies and video games. What's on your list?
Well, Star Wars Battlefront 2, that's the game I was talking about that I forgot that's being launched this year. Red Dead Redemption 2. Both Marvel movies, both DC movies, and the Prometheus sequel, or the Alien prequel, whatever you want to call it.
That actually looks awesome. That trailer looked amazing.
Yeah, that's my jam. Oh, and I heard Terminator 2 is going to get a reboot.
And Arnold's going to be in it.
Yeah. As the director.
Yeah.
That is like some serious top secret.
Not for this year, though, right?
No, not for this year, but it was announced this year, and I'm super excited.
I am really upset about what you just said, but
why would you reboot a classic?
Because it's it's in my top 5 movies of all time.
By reboot is they're not redoing T2. They're doing a sequel to T2, and it's being directed by James Cameron.
I'm happy.
But they're keeping that genre. There might be a liquid Terminator and a metal one, and they're not going all far-fetched with and crazy.
2017 list.
Oh gosh. There's some good movies. Transformers, I have some hopes for. I don't know. Don't make that face.
Michael Bay.
I'm hoping they get it
Transgender.
Right. Guardians of the Galaxy.
Let Clarky finish.
Guardians of the Galaxy, definitely excited for. Games, I don't know. All I know is you guys none of you played Dark Souls yet.
No, I tried the first one. I couldn't make it through.
All of you need to man up and play the dang game, because until you play...
Any games coming out this year that you're looking forward to?
The Witcher 3 I play.
I want to play... on my PlayStation, play Nier, and I want to play that Neo game. I think I want to dive into Mass Effect now that I think I got the approval to play, since you clowns were playing it. So.
It's good.
Yeah. So
did you say you said movies too?
Better.
Let's see, 2017. Wow, a lot of remakes I've been looking forward to. So, Final Fantasy 12 remake coming out, reboot coming out in July. I own every Final Fantasy. I'm a big Final Fantasy geek. Let's see what else. Movies, Spider-Man,
yes.
Guardians of the Galaxy, Let's see. Obviously, Christmas time for what we talked about with Star Wars. Other games, I hate to admit it because I'm still pissed at them a little bit, and it was Bungie with Destiny 2, because Destiny 1 was supposed to be a 10-year game. I mean,
so many hours.
I still play. I still enjoy Destiny, but I just can't stand the fact that Bungie continues to just lie and be like, "Yeah, we're going to do this." Oh, wait, no, we're not going to do that.
They throw shit at all.
Yeah, like
it was horrible.
And the fact that half their stuff that they stole from Game of Thrones, like, it can't even be original with the name Fellwinter Peak. Really? That's what you're going to name this new part in the Rise of Iron? I was like, wow.
No, it pissed me off the most.
Even the sigil had the two wolves in the tree. I'm like, wow, way to rip off of Game of Thrones. Can you be any less original?
Well, what did we do? We got the season pass, and that didn't include any of the paid content.
Right.
I mean, it was horrible.
But so now
if you didn't buy the paid content,
pass,
you couldn't play with your friends on it at all.
So the new season pass is going to include the first two DLCs for Destiny 2.
So you got it for free.
Now, the only reason why I actually still play is because I bought Destiny for myself for Christmas, not this year, but the year before. It was on Amazon, and it was half off, so I got it for $30, and I got Destiny and the Taken King and the House of Wolves for $30. So I wasn't mad at that. But for my homies that paid $120, I felt their pain.
Heck yeah.
Because they still didn't get half of what was promised, and they put out all that money.
All right, so for me, movie-wise, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, definitely. Spider-Man Homecoming. Thor Ragnarok definitely has me excited now. I am beyond excited for it. I cannot wait to see that movie. And I'm a horror movie guy. So
yeah, you're a horror guy.
And also The Last Jedi for Star Wars. Now, two games that you guys didn't mention at all that I'm really excited about. First of all, Sea of Thieves. Have you guys seen that?
I've heard
it's the Rare game. It's a game from Rare, and it's a cartoony animated pirate game that you join up with other players online, and everybody can do different positions on the ship to raise the sails and steer it and go to battle, launch cannons at other people. It looks awesome. And then Crackdown 3. Huge fan of the Crackdown series. I love that.
Dota 2 is the best game ever made.
So, all right.
That's like hardcore nerds right there.
So listen,
it's the only game that pays you $12 million if you win one tournament. So it's probably the best game ever made.
That's true.
All right, so we're going to stick around and see if there's anything else to talk about. If you want to stay tuned on YouTube, go to the YouTube channel, search for the Generation Y Conservative. In the meantime, thank you for tuning in. You can catch this podcast live on Facebook Fridays at 9 p.m. by searching for the Generation Y Conservative, where you can like the page. You can also search for the Generation Y on Conservative on YouTube, like I said, and you can subscribe for all sorts of videos, including the HD interactive versions of these podcasts and now movie reviews as well. You can also follow me on Twitter by searching for @GenYConservative without the E on the end. You can also hear the audio version of the podcast on Google Play, Stitcher, and iTunes, and a replay of this podcast on Sundays from 3 to 5 p.m. on the internet radio station KLRN Radio. Thanks for tuning in, and have a great night, and God bless America.